across the globe. Welcome, sports fans, to Backseat Banter's NBA draft coverage. My name is Jonathan Silver, one of your hosts of the show. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Sam Kruchkov, and Backseat Banter's co-host and host of Backseat Banter's Off the Bar soccer podcast, Ben and Brandon Holpen. Tonight is draft night, so welcome to the Backseat Banter War Room. In tonight's special live event, we will be giving you draft coverage of every pick and break down how the pick fits on the team and cover every trade made tonight because draft night is full of trades. What are your guys' thoughts on the night? And I hope we have a good one, boys.
Yeah, I'm just super excited about this and super excited with the opportunity that we're doing right now. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I honestly think where the international players are going to go and where they're going to fall because there are some really nice international players that are projected in the top 10 and that they're also projected to go in the first round. So I'm really interested to see where they fall because, I mean, LaMelo's not international. I'm talking more so like Denny Avdija, Killian Hayes, Alexei Pochkowski, or whatever that's his last name, and Theo Maldon, like people, players like those that actually played overseas. And that are not
Australia
from and that are everyone that isn't LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton pretty much. But yeah, I'm very excited to see where everyone goes and where everyone falls in this draft.
Yeah, tonight is a big night for the prospects, for the teams, and basically sets the landscape for the upcoming basketball season. There's a bunch of changes heading on to the season. We're going to see a lot of new teams in the playoffs. We're going to see a lot of new teams in contention for those last two spots. We'll break that down in a little bit for you guys. But let's take a look at this year's top prospects. I mean, let's start off with the consensus number one. In my opinion, Anthony Edwards. What do you guys think Minnesota's going to do with their first overall pick? It is 7:51 right now. We're waiting for the draft to begin at 8. The pick probably will be in at like 8:05, 8:10. So we'll see, but what are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards going number one, guys?
Yeah, I think that we're right off that point where if there was going to be a trade for the number one overall pick, I think it would have happened by now, unless they're going to do something super last second, which I don't see happening. So it does look like Minnesota is going to keep their pick. The draft is starting in just a few minutes, so I do think that Anthony Edwards would be the smartest number one overall pick. But there were some murmurings that they were thinking about pairing James Wiseman with Karl Anthony Towns. So it'll be very interesting to see what they do. I would prefer to see Anthony Edwards go number one. I think he's the best prospect in this year's draft.
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball is also in conversation right now for being that number one overall pick in certain prospect scouting eyes. He's the number one prospect in this year's draft. So would you go with Anthony Edwards, who is a better shooter, kind of a more refined shooting guard than LaMelo Ball is a point guard, or would you go with the flashy potential in LaMelo Ball at number one? What are your thoughts, Ben?
I'd go with Anthony Edwards, especially if you're gonna keep D'Lo on your team. There's no reason to. Let me just make sure that I'm not getting the wrong guy. D'Angelo Russell on your team, then there's no reason for really to go for another ball-dominant point guard. At the end of the day, I think he was consensus up until last week, where people were like, "Oh, well, what if they did pick James Wiseman? And are they looking to ship Cat, or are they looking at this?" But as presently constructed, I think the team definitely needs to go for Anthony Edwards. If he gets the Dwayne Wade seal of approval, he's good on me. He's good for me.
I think, honestly, I mean, especially after the Chris Paul trade, which we'll get into trades in a little bit, I mean, there were talks about potentially that number one being used in a Devin Booker trade, potentially, and maybe including the 17th pick as well in that trade. So
Chris Paul really ruined those plans, didn't he?
Yeah, I was realistically thinking that they might go for instead a potential like veteran like him that can also grow alongside Cat and D'Angelo Russell. I don't know if that's gonna happen now, just because like things have moved on, like trades have happened, and so I don't know if there's gonna be someone available like Devin Booker in a trade that might be worth the number one overall pick. I mean, maybe Bradley Beal, but at the same time, it doesn't look like they're going to move on that number one pick. I don't know if any offers would come in that seem enticing. So for me here, I'd pick Anthony Edwards. I think, again, he's just more overall what the what the Timberwolves probably would need instead, giving you another guy that could play pretty much a 3-and-D guy at the guard position.
Well, Anthony Edwards probably one of my favorite prospects in the draft. He reminds me, I know Kendrick Perkins put it best in my opinion, a bootleg James Harden, a poor man's James Harden. That was the exact quote. But I mean, this guy really can do it all for your team. Minnesota is going to hit the lottery, figuratively and literally. They hit the lottery to land this number 1 overall pick. But I'm just really, really excited to see what they do here, because pairing a guy with like Anthony Edwards with Karl-Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, and a bunch of other young guys on that team, maybe this team can be in contention for one of those playoff spots, and maybe they can push it in the Western Conference. I know it's going to be harder than ever this year, but what are your thoughts on the Minnesota's Timberwolves playoff chances if they do select Anthony Edwards?
So they got one thing going in their favor right now that they never had before, and that is that the NBA playoff format has completely changed. So in the bubble last season, if you guys don't remember, there was the play-in tournament. It didn't happen in the Eastern Conference, but in the West, we saw the Blazers and the Grizzlies play for that 8th seed spot. But this year, they have expanded that even further. So it's going to be the 7th and the 8th seed have to fight for the playoffs, which gives the 9th and the 10th seed a legitimate fighting chance to make it into the playoffs, even if they don't win as many regular season games as some of the other teams. So the way that's going to work, if you guys don't know, because it was just released very recently in the new collective bargaining agreement, the new schedule, is that the 7th and 8th seed will play one game at the end of the season, and that game will determine who will be the 7th seed. And the 9th and the 10th seed will play a game, and that will determine who gets to have a chance to be the 8th seed. So let's just say that the 7th seed wins their first matchup, they're locked in at number 7. Then number 8 would have to play the winner of 9 and 10, and the winner of that game would then be the 8th seed. So if Minnesota can fight for a 10th seed, they have to win 2 games in a row before they make the playoffs. That is something very new. I think it's something that the NBA has done to discourage tanking, because we've already seen them making a lot of changes to the draft lottery, changing the odds for the number 1 overall pick. They're doing everything they can to stop tanking, and now we can see teams that previously had no business making the playoffs legitimately have a chance to fight for that 8th spot in both conferences.
I mean, Minnesota did have one of the top odds going into this year's lottery, so I don't know if potentially the tank is. I mean, yes, there's an argument because also Atlanta as well had a top odds, and they ended up at the 6th pick, and we obviously famously know last year New York was hoping to get Zion, and they didn't. So then they ended up with RJ Barrett. So that was obviously and New Orleans and the Grizzlies weren't projected to be anywhere in the top 2, but they ended up getting it. So I think honestly, it's just per chance. I don't know if it's necessarily luck or anything like that. I think it's just per chance. But yeah, sorry, I had to step away real quick. I just change real quick.
Miami Heat actually going to be selecting 20th overall tonight. Maybe they make a nice trade, get a nice veteran, or take a young guy and keep building that championship potential roster down the line. I just want to remind everybody who is listening live on YouTube, if you are listening, please leave a like on this stream. We really do appreciate everybody who is tuning in. A subscription would be fantastic if you guys are willing to subscribe. We will be giving you guys basketball content, football content, soccer content weekly, so make sure to stay tuned. We do post podcasts on Apple and Spotify multiple times a week, so go check us out there and leave a rating if you do enjoy our episodes. But let's get back into the NBA draft coverage. Sam, break the news about Klay Thompson. What's going on in Golden State right now?
And also give us your diagnosis.
Golden State is picking at the 2nd pick, and we thought that there would be some kind of major splash because they have Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, hopefully both coming back from injury. But according to Shams of The Athletic, he suffered bad injuries today, apparently at practice or running some pickup games, and he can't even put any pressure on his leg right now. So he's going to go through some tests to see how bad the injury was, but as of right now, he can't even put any weight on his leg. So that's something very scary. We're wishing the best for him. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery in time to start the NBA season. But does that change the Warriors' draft strategy in any way?
Nah, I don't think so. I really think it's gonna be a Wiseman or a forward. I don't think it's going to be anyone that's potentially a harmful, potentially to replace Klay in any sort of way. Really quickly, Sam, since you are pre-med, what would you give his diagnosis, or is it too early to call?
I mean, I have no idea. Obviously, I didn't see what happened, and you're right, I am pre-med, so I should not be giving any medical advice.
I mean, listen, the bright side is that it wasn't the one that he tore his ACL on. That was on his left leg. So it could just be maybe a fracture or something to that degree, or it could just be,
ankle sprain potentially.
Yeah, I mean, he can't put pressure on it. He's getting MRI tested.
We're just theorizing at this point. We
Yeah.
really have no factual basis to go off of. But the question that Sam posed, which was really intriguing to me, was, does this affect the plans for the Warriors at number 2? They potentially were, if Klay Thompson was healthy this season, going to be in contention for an NBA championship. And now, with his health and his availability up in the air, that championship aspiration might also be up in the air. So do they keep the draft pick and build it to maybe contend next year if Klay Thompson is out a while? Or do they trade it for a veteran that can help Curry this year and potentially contest even without Klay Thompson? What are your thoughts, guys?
I think if they keep the pick, they're going to pick whoever they thought they were. It's way too close to have a plan, or to have a backup plan if your star that you were thinking that was coming back to gets injured again. But I could definitely see them trying to trade out of this. I mean, we all said that Wiggins in the second will try and get you another player, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know what will be around right now unless they immediately when they heard the injury got on the phone and started talking to teams.
Well, speaking of that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we got a mini Woj bomb, and I will be monitoring Twitter all night long to see if the famous Woj or even Shams tweet out anything groundbreaking. And according to Woj, the Timberwolves are still on the phone discussing possible trade scenarios for that number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, if you guys are listening right now, it is currently 8:02, so Minnesota is currently on the clock, waiting for their selection right now for their number 1 overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft.
And it really does look like they're going to take it down to the last second because they are on the phones trying to see what deals they can make for that number 1 overall pick. It is a hot pick. Obviously, the first overall pick is always valuable, but this year's draft is going to be different than the last year, for example, with your clear-cut number 1 that we knew was going to be a transcendent all-time player.
Right.
But this time around, there's maybe 2 or 3 guys that you could take at the number 1 spot without even anyone batting an eye. So,
Yeah. I think here, just going back to the Warriors point, I mean, with the Timberwolves, I think it's either Anthony Edwards or, potentially moving on and maybe getting a guy like Bradley Beal, like I said earlier. Right now, Adam Silver's talking right now, so if you guys are watching the draft, while you guys are watching us,
it should have been in the basement.
Yeah, it should have been in the basement. We're still really pissed that it's not in the basement, like we were hoping that the NFL did. But but just going back to the Warriors, if they do move on from that second pick, listen, we just saw that Bojan Bogdanovic move fall through. He's not worth the second pick, but if it's the second for Bojan and the 6th pick, which the King, no, actually not, sorry, the Kings don't have the 6th pick, they have the 12th pick. I mean, and maybe potentially,
The Hawks have the 6th pick.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The 12th pick and maybe another player like maybe a Buddy Hield as well for the second pick. If the Kings wanted to move up, that could be a potential move. Just so that way they do have some reassurance going down the road if it's something serious, and so that way they can contend this season.
Yeah, they definitely got some options, and it'll be very interesting to see. We can predict there will be quite a few explosive trades coming up very shortly tonight. So we're all on our toes. We're waiting to see what happens. feeling that we're going to have a lot to react to as these first few picks start coming in. And,
Yeah.
these GMs are on the phone all night seeing if they can make anything happen.
Yeah, draft night is probably one of the most exciting nights, not only because players and just people get their lives changed forever, but teams in the NBA are constantly trying to make some moves to make their teams better or fit their plans for next season. Every team has kind of a landscape of where they are going. So it's going to be really interesting to see which teams do pull the trigger on some trades. I know there talks with the Warriors. Maybe Charlotte wants to trade up to try and get James Wiseman early. I know he's on their sites, but Michael Jordan did give the green light to draft LaMelo Ball. He said that he would be a player that he wants in Charlotte. So what are your thoughts if LaMelo does slip?
Well, really quickly, the draft just started, and the Timberwolves are now officially on the clock.
4 minutes and 37 seconds.
So just letting you know, it is they are on the clock right now.
Yeah,
so we will.
I'd be incredibly surprised if it does not go down to the last second.
Yeah. So I can honestly tell you right now, I think it is going to for LaMelo. I can honestly see him falling to potentially even Atlanta at the 6th pick. I don't know if he's going to fall that far. He could, but because I know Atlanta did work him out earlier in this week. If Charlotte picks him up, it could be a good fit right next to Devontae Graham. I mean, you're going to get a guy that has similar skill sets, but also a guy that will be able to give you size at that position as well and play either the point or the guard position.
Yeah, LaMelo is definitely a franchise point guard. Moving forward, you can rely on him to be your starter game in and game out, and he will produce not only offensively, his defensive game has also picked up in recent years. So it's good to see him grow as a player. I'm excited to see him in the NBA finally. There's been talk since he was 16. He was one of the biggest phenoms in the sports world. I mean, he was the biggest Instagram phenomenon that we've seen in a while, other than Zion Williamson, of course. But everybody knew who LaMelo Ball was when he was playing Chino Hills ball with Lonzo. And funny enough, another top prospect in this NBA draft, Onyeka Okongwu. So they have a really nice history. I know these players, we might see them fall off the board within the top 5. So I'm really excited to see those two former teammates go off the board.
Okay, we got some breaking news.
Okay.
It's by Vasu Kulkarni, and I didn't know who this was at first, but he is the one that originally broke the Rudy Gobert having COVID news before anyone else did.
All right, hit us with it.
I think this is a reliable source for injuries, and apparently Klay Thompson has a torn Achilles.
Wow.
So
That's a big hit.
If this is accurate, which, I mean, based on his track record, he does not get things wrong. He only tweets when he knows what he's tweeting about. That's a big hit.
Damn, that's heartbreaking to hear. Because honestly, Klay Thompson, for me, is one of the more underrated stars in our league. I think he is talked about because Curry's also there. But I think if he was on a team on his own, I think we'd be seeing a lot more respect in the media as well. To see him go down with an Achilles injury, I think this might mean that the Warriors might move on from that 2nd pick. It's devastating to see that he's going down. Hopefully, maybe the report is off. But Sam, if he's saying this guy's reliable,
Yeah, this is the guy that broke Rudy Gobert
so
before anyone else had
I'm still hoping that Shams and Woj come out with something different. But if this guy's reliable, he's reliable. So I could see why.
Regardless, we gotta hope for the best for him.
Yeah.
Recovery, whether it's an Achilles or.
It's terrible.
Yeah. So let's move on to a lighter subject.
Well, Minnesota has a minute and change left to make a pick. I mean, we said he's going to go down to the wire. This is really going down to the wire here.
Actually, really quickly.
See it traded. I'd love to see it stay in Minnesota. What were you gonna say, Ben?
Shams has come out with Klay Thompson that he says, "I'm told the fear that it is a heel injury." So they're definitely looking at some torn ligament in probably that kind of lower foot area.
So pretty much.
And Shams just broke the news. Minnesota is going to be selecting Anthony Edwards with the #1 overall pick.
Nice. Finally, we
Can you clap, dude?
Our first NBA player in tonight's draft selected.
So guys, what can you tell us about Anthony Edwards, and what do you guys think he's going to be like for Minnesota? I know we covered him a lot, but who would you guys compare this guy to?
Yes, we did do this in the pre-draft, but for anyone that's just joining us, we're pretty high on Anthony Edwards. Before the draft, we had him going first in our mock draft, and there's been some murmurings that he's Wade himself compared Anthony Edwards to his own play style, his own game. We've also heard comparisons like Victor Oladipo, which is kind of like a bootleg version of Dwayne Wade anyways. So if he does hit that kind of standard, that mark of pre-injury Oladipo, that could be huge for a team like this. He plays great defense, he has a lot of energy and hustle, and he can shoot the ball too.
Well, Sam, he's still working on that defensive game a little bit. His decision making is getting there to an NBA level. We'll have to see how it grows. I mean, he's got a nice coaching staff in Minnesota that can help him grow with a bunch of other young players like Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell. I mean, if he figures out his game instead of going for contested jumpers and controls his own game and goes for nice layups or driving kicks, we could see him be potentially one of the greater shooting guards in the NBA right now. If you guys would rate this draft selection, I'm gonna go ahead and give it an A+. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, A+. I mean, when we did our mock draft, this is someone that I said this was a need for them. Yeah, they have Okogie, Jarrett Culver, and Malik Beasley, even though there's legal issues going on with him right now. This was a team need for them, and as you can see on the screen right now, if you guys are watching the draft, the pick has just been announced as Anthony Edwards. He is athletic. We said he's Dwayne Wade with a jump shot. He can make the three. His defense is going to need a little bit of improving, but to pair him alongside D'Angelo Russell, he doesn't need the ball in his hand. He can create his own shot, and for me, this is a great pick. Ben, what'd you think?
I mean, it's the slam dunk pick. I kind of said before that I don't see Ball fitting. I don't see James Wiseman fitting on that team. He does need to work on his shot selection as well as his defense. He can be a little bit iffy at times, but the good thing is, the dude has strength for his position. I mean, he can overpower almost any guy that's going to defend him. So, to me, if we're going to talk about comparison, of course, there's also Dominique Wilkins before his injury, and his explosiveness and his unbelievable athleticism. There are some questions, but this is the right pick. I'm giving this an A+.
Yeah, so I think the pick itself is great. I think he has all the potential in the world to be a great player, but he is drafted to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the last time that they drafted a very similar type of prospect was Andrew Wiggins, and they did not develop him right. They didn't get him where he needed to be. They didn't get his head on straight. We are talking about shot selection, and that's a problem that Wiggins struggled with early in his career as well. So hopefully, it's not just the pick itself, it's can they develop him and actually get the best out of him. So as a pick, I think it's an A+, but let's hope that the Minnesota Timberwolves have learned from their past mistakes and can actually develop him to be the starter that we think he could be.
Yeah, I mean, I can get that.
It's still an A+. He's the best player available at number one, right? He's what they need. So I just hope that they can actually use him correctly.
What was that? What were you gonna say, Ben?
I get that. I think it comes down to not only the development staff in the Timberwolves organization, it also comes down to the player itself. There's a lot of questions about his work, about not Anthony Edwards, Wiggins' work ethic and Wiggins' drive to succeed Wiggins' drive to be as good as he was touted to be in the NBA. So look, we wish that Anthony Edwards grows and develops to be one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah, and he definitely has a shot to get somewhere up there. We know that the future is bright for the NBA because a lot of young guys from last year's draft and from the last few drafts really have given us some superstar talent. So let's hope that Anthony Edwards is next in line for a long list of young talent.
Yeah,
with the NBA.
with that being said, we are going to move on to speaking about the second overall selection. The Golden State Warriors are 2 minutes on the clock left. They're just under 2 minutes right now. They're going to be selecting number 2 overall. So, do you guys see James Wiseman being a no-brainer at this pick?
Yeah, James Wiseman is going to be selected. Chams just tweeted that out, that James Wiseman is going to be picked.
I called it.
So far, it's going 100% according to Alan.
Yeah,
and it'll stay that way.
So, really quickly, James Wiseman, while Ben goes off and gloats, because I thought it was something that pick that wasn't going to be, it was going to be a great pick, but I thought they could probably use a forward instead. James Wiseman is the second best player in this draft. He is, and Ben was trying to compare him to like David Robinson. For me though, if he bulks up just a little bit, he reminds me of Joel Embiid. Similar skill set, shot blocking ability as well. It's not that much back to the basket like Joel. He's more face up, but for me, Joel Embiid, to compare him to here, it's going to be a great selection. It's going to give the Warriors a new dynamic to surround Curry with, especially now with Klay potentially having a serious injury. Listen, the rich get richer, and now they're getting the best center in this draft and a guy that they can now stretch the floor with and potentially play alongside James Wiseman, Curry.
James Wiseman is an incredible athlete. He's 7'1", 240 pounds, coming out of Memphis. He has such a great skill set for a center. He's really nimble. I like the Joel Embiid comparison because he's really dynamic in the post as well. He has such great body control. I mean, this guy is a star in the making. I mean, he's really, really talented. He has a 7'5" wingspan. He's gonna be protecting the rim.
Before we even continue talking about Wiseman, according to Woj, Charlotte is laser focused on LaMelo Ball at number 3. So it's very likely that we're going to see him getting drafted next. So we'll have something else to talk about very shortly.
Yes.
Yeah, let's.
James Wiseman. The Warriors are like the opposite of the Timberwolves, where my concern of the Timberwolves were, can they develop the talent? We know what the Warriors can do. We know what they've done with Steph and Klay, and then Draymond, who was a very late selection, and Eric Pascal, who was a late selection. I think third or fourth in the rookie of the year race, something ridiculous like that for someone that really you didn't think was going to make any sort of difference on a team like that. The Golden State Warriors really know how to develop their talent, and what they've been missing for years has been a dominant center. And James Wiseman is that type of guy that can adapt to the modern NBA. He is not just a traditional rebounding big man. He can adapt to the modern NBA. His shot can use a little bit of work, but when you got the best shooters of all time on your side, right, it's only a matter of time before you get your shot falling.
They can only go up from here. They went 15 and 50 last year, having a terrible record, not even being invited to play in the NBA bubble. This is a team that hopefully with Klay Thompson coming back, if he does come back from this injury, they can be in contention, maybe even a top 3 team in the Western Conference. Yes, Ben?
Yeah. I mean, again, this almost comes down to, is it really a no-brainer? For how many years, besides the DeMarcus Cousins years, that they needed a center? If I'm just going to really butt in real quick, Greg Sylvander of 5 Reasons Sports has just come out and said that Kendrick Nunn has been told that there is a chance he may be moved tonight. So just to see in the foreseeable future, Miami has a 20th pick, so we don't know what's going to happen there. But just to kind of talk about that. And with James Wiseman, I mean, this guy, the one, I think, big knock on him was that there's such a small sample size. There's not much of what we could definitively say he has.
Right.
But, I mean, there's so much that we saw in that sample size. And he did play for Memphis, which was coached by Mike Miller. So, I mean, I trust Mike Miller with anyone, so.
I think
a lot of hometown love from Ben tonight. The Dwayne Wade seal of approval, the Mike Miller coaching. Basically, if you're
and Penny Hardaway.
if you're in any
When
way, shape, or
Precious
form
gets drafted, I'm going to say the same thing.
if you're in any way, shape, or form connected to the Heat, you get Ben's approval there.
Getting the Mike Bibby seal of approval.
Yeah, I think also just going back to what Ben said about James Wiseman's sample size. We saw more in high school than we saw in college just because of the fact that he had issues with the NCAA in college. Because I think because like Penny Hardaway bought him and his parents a house in Memphis.
Yeah.
I think that was the big issue. So it's technically taking money. But as of right now, yeah, James Wiseman is one of the he's an excellent finisher and rim protector. He's going to be able to score anywhere around the basket, and I think probably from mid-range and potentially his three-point shot as well, if you can get him in the open court. But yeah, just really quickly, your guys' grades on this selection.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give this selection an A+. They couldn't have really done much better at this selection. I know they feel their position of need. They've been in desperate need of a center. I know they like small ball, but now we're gonna see a very, very dynamic pick and roll with Steph Curry and James Wiseman moving on into the future for many years to come. I'm really excited. I hope they do not eventually move and trade James Wiseman because of the Klay Thompson news. So I'm going to give this an A+. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah.
This is an even better selection with the Klay Thompson news because if you don't have another transcendent shooter like that, you need to play a more traditional style of basketball. When they had Klay Thompson, they could get away with, all their experimental basketball, their motion offense, have no big man, no traditional big man rather on the floor. They would have Draymond Green or Kevin Durant for some years starting at big man. When you don't have Klay Thompson, you kind of need to play a more tried and true method of basketball, a more tried and true method of coaching. So I like James Wiseman. I think that he fits well on the team, and he might even fit better for their long-term goals if Klay Thompson cannot play the majority of this season. So I can give it an A+.
Yeah, I want to say just really quickly, I think he's going to be really good moving forward, like you said, Sam. The other factor is and they still have Draymond on the team. And I think they looked at Draymond as a interior defender, someone that's going to lead the interior defender. I mean, they've had centers other centers at time like Kevon Looney and others to really try to be that interior defender. But now you're getting a massive upgrade over guys like Kevon Looney and a guy that's going to help out Draymond as well. Just barring the Klay news, this is still a great pick. Hopefully, if it's not too serious, even though if it is an Achilles injury, like it's going to be an issue. But hopefully, it's not the case. I think this is an excellent pick. A+ for me.
Ben, what are your thoughts?
Where was this love when we did the mock draft and I got an A for this pick? This is an A+ pick. I said it before and I'll say it again. This was an A+ pick through and through. They're finally going to a more conventional style, especially with the news about about Klay Thompson. I think this is great. The guy has shooting ability. The guy does has shooting ability, just not as well as of course Steph Curry. But if there's anyone that can teach him, it is Steph Curry. So I wouldn't be very worried about this pick.
Now, ESPN's #1 ranked player, LaMelo Ball, is still available, and the Charlotte Hornets are on the clock. The pick is actually in.
Yeah, and Shams said it's going to be LaMelo. Woj said it's going to be LaMelo. I think we can operate under the assumption that it is in fact LaMelo Ball.
It's going to be Michael Jordan. He's drafting himself again.
LaMelo Ball to the Charlotte Hornets. What do you guys think of the selection?
And MJ got his guy. I think we've kind of known for a little while now that LaMelo Ball was Michael Jordan's go-to selection. I think that MJ is the type of guy that can maybe get LaMelo's head on straight because having talked back with the greatest player that's ever been. You can't say, yeah, I know more than you do. No, you don't. No one knows the game of basketball quite like Michael Jordan does. So hopefully he can get his head on straight. He's going to sell tickets. It's going to be fun to watch Charlotte games. He's going to have that effect he has a stronger start to his NBA career than his brother Lonzo, because they do have similar play styles. But Lamelo's physical tools are definitely more NBA ready than Lonzo was coming into the NBA. I like the pick. MJ got his guy, and if Michael Jordan's happy, then I think they're going in the right direction.
This is just an overall exciting selection. The number one ranked player on ESPN's Big Board. This guy is something special. Really one of the best transition players in the draft. He's 6'7" point guard, and he's got a really good frame to build on moving forward into the future. And he's been putting in work this offseason. So make sure to stay tuned to the Charlotte Hornets.
I think we lost you. Okay.
I think ever since they traded Kemba Walker, they've been waiting and waiting for something special to go down on that franchise, and now LaMelo Ball could be that savior that can save this franchise. I give the selection an A. What are your thoughts, guys?
Yeah, listen, he is an elite finisher and shot creator. This is someone that is going to give him a great, a different dynamic on the court. What I like about him is this is facilitating. He averaged about 7 assists in the NBL last season. He was also the NBL's Rookie of the Year. So, yes, take it for granted. Yes, it is Australia, so like his skill set is going to be maybe not translate directly, but I think he's going to be ready for the NBA once training camp start in about a few weeks. But yeah. For this pick, I give it an A.
I'm gonna have to agree. A for me. You know, we get to see LeVar versus Michael, finally. So I think at the end of the day, you know, this is kind of, I wouldn't say Kemba replacement, because Kemba is not. They don't have the similar play style. He has to work on his shot mechanics. I mean,
hey, I'm gonna interrupt you just for a second because we have information about the next pick. The Chicago Bulls are targeting Patrick Williams with the number 4 pick.
Yeah.
So that's the first deviation from our mock draft that we've seen. And,
in our mock draft, sorry, Sam. In our mock draft, I actually selected Onyeka Okongwu for the Chicago Bulls at number 4 overall. I just feel like, personally, he's the better prospect I know. Patrick Williams, it feels kind of a little bit of a reach here for Patrick Williams, who fell in our mock draft quite a bit. But if he does get selected here, what are your thoughts on Chicago moving forward as probably being one of the best teams in the lottery other than the Warriors?
Well, they are going to select Patrick Williams. Shams just came out and said that they are. Woj likes to, not directly say that they're going to come out with it, but if you have an adjective and the player's name, it's pretty much that he's going to go to that team. I'm a little bit confused. Like he fell. I think there was some other team needs as well there. I mean, maybe a more of a guard or forward, especially if they do move on from Zach LaVine, which there have been reports that they could, or that Philadelphia was interested in him. This was, it's an interesting selection. He he can play alongside, them. He is a small forward, but I think it's a big jump here.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this is quite a reach. I think that they could have traded back and still gotten him. Even if they went as far back as like 8 or 9, they could have easily still been able to get a hold of him. But I don't know. I think that it's a strange pick. I don't know if he quite fits in with the team. I think this is the first pick that's not going to get an A on our teammate grade. If this is like NBA 2K getting the teammate grade, but I don't know. I think this is a weird pick. I don't think he's a bad player. I think he can do a lot for a franchise, but I don't know if he can do a lot for this franchise.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this selection a C+. There's just players on the board right now, Onyeka Okongwu, Denny Avdija, that could potentially do better on that team. I know Patrick Williams, he's a really good player. I go to FSU, so I've seen him play, but I just don't see him panning out better than Onyeka Okongwu right now, who could potentially take over the starting job for Wendell Carter if they had selected him. So it's really interesting to see the first of the FSU players come off the board. Devin Vassell is also
appreciate you for not being a biased Knowles fan and just pretending like he's the best player in the world just because he went to your school. So appreciate that. I have to agree with your grade though. This is no higher than a C+. It's a passing grade. He's a good player, but there's better players left on the board than him.
I mean, what he offers is defensive athleticism, so I would understand if that's what they're going for with this small forward selection. But there are other forwards there that can offer you that as well. I mean, we in our mock draft we spoke about Obi Toppin being kind of like Tobias Harris, and yes, he's not gonna have he's more built as a power forward, but he can probably play the 3 as well. He has the size to play there as well. Defensively, he's great. He's a great interior defender. He can take you off the dribble and score. He's very crafty with his finishing, and defensively, he's great. I can see why they picked him. I'm going to give it a B just because I think he is probably the best defensive forward in this draft, and that's what Chicago probably was targeting. But like you guys said, they probably could have traded down for this pick, even probably back into the top 10 and still get Patrick Williams. I'm going to give it a B.
It's not a bad selection regarding team need, but they definitely could have traded back. I agree with both of you. What are your thoughts, Ben?
I was gonna say before this whole pick went down, this is when we're gonna start deviating from our mock draft because I don't really know no one's gonna really know outside of those top 3 players. And even then, we saw some players maybe fall lower in the draft. I'm going to give this a B-. To be honest, Jonathan, I was going to get you really hyped up with this. But at the end of the day, I like Onyeka more. I like Onyeka Okongwu a lot more than
As do I.
a lot more than I do with this one, with Patrick Williams. And I understand what he's doing, but if you want to go defensively, I mean, you could even look to trade down and go for like a Precious Chiwa, or go for another player that is probably a little bit more stouter defensively. He's like built somewhat, and this isn't a comparison, but he's built somewhat as in like a Kawhi Leonard sort of build. And of course, that's not. Yeah, he's far from it, but I would say there are probably a lot better team players on the board. I'm gonna give this a B-.
Really quickly, just a few trades to be on a lookout for. Woj did tweet out that the Cavs are looking to shop that number 5 pick. I mean, the pick is still running. Also, John. Okay, it's not John. I want to say it's John Krasinski, but I know that's not how you probably pronounce the guy's last name. I think he's a reporter for The Athletic. He's saying the Timberwolves are in talks to trade the 17th pick to Oklahoma for Ricky Rubio and the 25th and the 28th pick. So those are 2 trades that could potentially go down. And if that Ricky Rubio trade does go down, I think that's a perfect trade for a guy to get you to come off the bench. I think he's a better finisher than when he once started out in Minnesota. He's a better scorer as well. He's gonna give you that veteran presence that we've been talking about. Again, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's last name. I really hope it's
Krakowski.
I don't know. I want to say it's Krasinski because it's kind of looks like.
Not Krasinski, but if you do hear anything else, Brandon, please feel free to share with us.
Well, Sham just tweeted out that Cleveland is going to be selecting Isaac Okoro at the number 5 pick.
Again, this is another reach, at least from our mock draft. We still have Onyeka Okongwu on the draft board. We still have Danny Abisha left on the draft board. You guys know we covered for sure can be penciled in for top 5. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there are reports that they are going to move on from Kevin Love, or they're looking to move on from Kevin Love at that number, move on in the future. This one I like because you're going to get a forward to go pair alongside Kevin Porter Jr., Darius Garland, and Colin Sexton. They still also have, I'm blanking on the guy's name. A forward from Turkey. I forget what his name was.
Chetty.
Chetty. They still have Chetty that can still play the 3. I'm not too mad at the pick. Again, I picked him at 9 for Washington. He's a very good defender. Offensively, he still needs to work on his offense. He's great in transition. I compared it to Justice Winslow. For me here, if we're gonna do grades real quick, I'm gonna give it a B plus. I think there were other needs highlighted, especially and they have left because I took with the Cleveland pick, I took Obi Toppin with that pick. So there's still Onyeka and Obi Toppin left on the board. I was expecting one of them to be gone by now, but I'm gonna give it a B plus. I like the pick, but yeah, I think there was other team needs that they needed.
Yeah, knowing now what we know about the 5th overall selection and Isaac Okoro, number 4 starts making more and more sense that it is Patrick Williams. They must have known on their radar that Cleveland was looking for kind of a similar role that they were intrigued in, and Patrick Williams was the best overall player in that kind of wing defender with good offensive play build. Kind of Isaac Okoro, similar, not as developed as Patrick Williams, but Isaac Okoro is really, really special, and I feel like the reason that Chicago took Patrick Williams so early was because Cleveland had their eyes on Okoro. I give this selection a B minus.
Yeah, I think this probably comes down to, I know he's not much of a defender, but this could be just shakiness about picking someone like a Denny Avdija in this pick. Just because, international prospects are somewhat hit and miss. I like this pick. Again, there are, Onyeka still on the board, Obi Toppin still on the board. He could be a better version of Justice Winslow, or maybe even the Justice Winslow that we thought we'd get in Miami before all the injuries. I wouldn't say that far because we had high hopes for him, but I'm going to say B+. I think it's a good pick. Again, are there other players on the board that could fit this role? Maybe, but I like this pick.
Yeah, but that's more our fault for overhyping Justice Winslow rather than Justice Winslow's fault for getting
That's a
hurt.
good point.
But I don't dislike the pick. I think it's still a reach. I think that they could have gotten a much more star-ready player. I think Okoro is probably going to be one of those starters for years to come that never makes an all-star team or anything like that, but he's going to be a solid NBA starter for years to come. Honestly, Cleveland, the problem with them is their team composition is so odd with Garland and Sexton, who runs the one, who runs the two, you don't even know. They have Drummond and Love, and they should be moving on from one, if not both of them.
Right.
So maybe this is the type of pick where you get a guy that has a high floor and a relatively low ceiling, just for some stability. You need some stability on the roster. So I don't hate it. I'll give it a B.
Yeah, really quickly, just to move on really quickly from Cleveland, Atlanta is now picking, and according to Woj and Shams, they are selecting Onyeka Okongwu at the 6th pick, which now this is because now they have John Collins and Clint Capella. This is going to be that's an interesting pick. I was thinking more of a shooting guard here. We did take Ben did take Devin Vassell. I mean, there are others on the board that probably could fit a little bit better. So for me, it is that's an interesting pick. I'm not gonna lie. What do you guys make of the pick?
Wow. I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead. I'll react after.
So when I wrote down what they needed, I put shooting guard, but I also put best available. And I think if there was someone there that would be best available, I think they'd pick it. This guy, and it's funny to say because Bam's so young, but this guy's next Bam. I mean, there's no one like Bam, but this guy is the closest thing to Bam that we're going to see in this draft. He's energetic. He can run. The guy's defensively stout. He's to me, when Jonathan showed me how great this player was, I wasn't really high on him up until the mock draft, actually. And then when I saw how great he was, I got very excited for whoever picked him. And I think this is a perfect pick. If John Collins leaves during free agency, which is leaves during a future free agency, I should say, it doesn't leave the door open on that power forward position. They have now a player that could play there on probably a smaller contract and could probably fit better if they want to run pick and rolls with Trae Young, if they want to kind of develop more of a mid range because you already have someone like you already have Kevin Huerter and Trae Young shooting threes. Does it kind of clog up what you probably want to do with Clint Capella? Maybe, but then again, you can run small ball when Clint Capella's off the floor. So I think this is a great pick. I think it's the best available pick, and I think it's a really great pick.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Atlanta, they are building something special down in Atlanta. I mean, when you talk about their core moving forward, you have Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, a bunch of young guys.
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second because the picks are coming in quick and they're coming in hot. Killian Hayes will be taken at number 7. So when we're done talking about the number 6 pick, we already have some info on who's going to number 7 to talk about very shortly.
Yeah, so going back to Onyeka, this is an A+ pick, no-brainer for me. Best player on the board right now, no doubt, going to be one of those centers of the future, building into what we now know as the modern-day center. This is going to be something special, a new position, really, point center. He's going to play with Trae Young. Imagine the possibilities on offense with a guy like Onyeka setting screens for him. What are you?
I think this is interesting with Onyeka because it could signal that they could potentially move on for Clint Capella at one point. We compared him to Bam in the sense of defensive versatility and what he can do offensively now. There is still room to grow for Onyeka. He is one of the undersized centers like Bam, but he has the athleticism and defensive makeup to kind of overshadow that. Onyeka, he is going. So this could indicate that they could move on from Clint Capella, or in the future run a starting lineup that includes John Collins and Onyeka at the same time. I'm gonna give it a A- here, just because it is something that is going to be interesting to do. But yeah. Atlanta getting Onyeka, I like it.
Yeah, man. I think the fit is not perfect, but that also is a good thing. This is a rare case where a not perfect fit is a good thing because it now gives them options. Because it makes guys like Capella more expendable. Where before, like let's say they did take a shooting guard, like perhaps like a Peja. I know he plays a wing position, but they could easily play him at shooting guard if they wanted to. It would have locked in their starting lineup. Now they have some options, and they can do some creative things on the coaching end, but also in the front office side. So it does make guys like Capella more expendable, and I think he does have some value around the league. They can get another young prospect out of a guy like Capella. So don't be surprised if in maybe a half hour or so we get a trade that Atlanta is back on the clock when they weren't supposed to be because they traded a guy like Capella. I like the pick. I think he should have gone top 5 easily. I think he could have even made a case for being a top 3 prospect. So I give it an A.
Right. Before we move on to Killian Hayes, because let's talk about it once Detroit is on, because it is pretty much the Reggie Jackson replacement here. Who are you guys best available right now in the draft?
So after Killian Hayes?
After Killian Hayes, who's the best available right now?
I would say either Denny Avdija or Obi Toppin. These two guys, I mean, let's not forget about Tyrese Halbert, one of my favorite players in the draft as well. Nice point guard out of Iowa State. Tyrese Halbert, probably one of my favorite players. He has good size for a guard, 6'5" with a 6'7" 7-inch wingspan. This guy is crazy good at defense. He can guard any position, really. Not any position, but the 3 main ones for that a point guard should be able to guard. One of the highest basketball IQs in the draft, if not the smartest player in the draft. Definitely going to be one of those players that comes in on a good team and helps them win now. That's why we haven't seen him come off early, because his potential is not as great as the players that we've seen. But definitely Tyrese Halbert is one of those players that can come in and help you win right now.
Right. Listen, Tyrese Halbert was something that New York was potentially looking at. Now they can get maybe a potential upgrade in Obi Toppin at that position once New York.
Another big man to
Yep.
New York is Brandon's prediction, and you might not be wrong, but that might not be a good pick.
Right. I think the best available for me right now is Denny Avija. He for me, Jonathan, you and I were speaking about it beforehand. And the other day, he has the biggest upside in this draft. I feel like I think honestly, if a team develops him correctly, he could be the Israeli Kevin Durant. I mean, not the same size, length, and wingspan. Not the. I mean, I'm talking more so scoring and what he can do defensively. I think if he develop him correctly, he could be the Israeli Kevin Durant.
Big words.
I really do think this could be something for him to work towards. But I like the pick for I would like to see him get picked up relatively soon. But yeah, Ben, who do you think is your best available right now?
I mean, they're all kind of been said. Someone who's kind of falling a little bit is, again, guy from Memphis, Precious Achiuwa. He was looked as a top kind of a fringe 10, 15 player. I like him a lot. I think I'm just trying to think of people that haven't been said already. So I think that all of them really has been said. Going back really quickly to the Onyeka pick, I'm gonna disagree with all of you with Brandon here, and I'm gonna say A+. Again, best available. This guy could have been a top 3 pick in my opinion.
That's pretty much in line with what we all agree on, the little plus. What do you think of, I think we were all forgetting to talk about Killian Hayes, the next pick that was announced, because very shortly the New York Knicks will select their players, so we'll have something to talk about then. But let's talk about Killian Hayes now.
Killian Hayes, I'm very surprised to see this pick. I told you guys my high praise for Tyrese Halbert, who I believe is a better point guard than Killian Hayes is. There's just so many question marks when it comes to these players, and we've seen in many drafts that they're top heavy. This draft, again, I've said it before, is very bottom heavy. You have a lot of good, solid players throughout the entire first round that can come in and really, really produce on your team. Killian Hayes is one of those guys. So I'm not really surprised to see Detroit take them. I like the Reggie Jackson replacement kind of nod. So this guy, he's really good. I mean, what more do you ask for in a point guard? He's really good at pick and roll. He can defend other guards. He's decent in some shooting aspects, but Killian Hayes really thrives in having so many professional games under his belt. We could potentially see him come in and shock the NBA world because of how much experience he has overseas.
Yeah, listen, this is he is a very good defensive guard, like you said. He averaged a steal and a half per game over in Germany. What I like about him the most is the fact that he's a great playmaker, and he will be able to feed guys like Christian Wood, Blake Griffin, and hopefully a healthy Luke Kennard the ball. I mean, he'll do very well in Detroit, especially given the fact that they do have a defensive head coach. So, for me, it's a great pick. I'm gonna give it an A here. I like where they're going with this pick because they do need a Reggie Jackson replacement. Again, international guards are very tricky to always pick in international players, but I like the pick here. New York gets an A from not New York, Washington. Detroit gets an A here.
I'm gonna
give him. I'm sorry. I'll pass it to you, Ben, in a second. But I didn't give my grade. I'm gonna go with a B+ on this one, just because a guy like Tyrese Halbert is still out there.
I'm gonna say.
By the way, just wanted to interrupt because Woj has been tweeting and we have not been covering it. So New York has, I'm reading the quote. New York has long been excited that Obi Toppin might drop to them at number 8, and it does appear like he has dropped to them at number 8. So very high likelihood that they will be selecting Obi Toppin with that selection. And that being said, the Wizards were really hoping that Danny Avdija would drop to them, and if the rumors are true and New York will be selecting Tobin, then Avdija will be dropping to number 9. But we had him as what, a top 4 pick?
No, we had him take here at Detroit.
We had him as okay.
Yeah.
But still, regardless of that, we would see him dropping number 9. So if those rumors hold, and if it's Woj that they usually do hold, number 8 would be Tobin, and number 9 would be Avdija.
Yeah.
And what is your grade on the Killian Hayes selection?
I'm gonna say an A-. I mean, look, they did need a point guard. I think you can argue who's better right now, and I think this is a big kind of swing because again, overseas prospects are hit and miss. Hopefully, he's not a Frank Ntilikina regen. Hopefully, he's somewhat better than that. He needs to get better with his right hand, with driving and stuff like that. I think a lot of it does kind of come with time, with his faults, which is a good thing for a team. If the only thing that happens is they just need to come with time. So to me, I think it's an A- pick for me.
Yeah, I was actually pretty high on Killian Hayes, and in our mock draft we had him slipping a little further. But I like it exactly where it is right here. I do think that he belongs in this conversation to be a top 10 pick, and at number 7 for Detroit, they had a need, and they took it. I like it. I give it an A.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's going to be, as we're speaking, the New York pick is currently in, so if you guys can do some Twitter searching, that would be great.
Yeah, it's Obi Toppin.
Obi Toppin.
Okay, so Obi Toppin officially coming off the board for the New York Knicks. Do you guys think Knicks fans across the world are booing this pick from their living room, or are they finally celebrating a pick?
I think this is a celebration pick. I think this is a guy listen, they were talking about potentially getting Tyrese Halbert, which was plan B of to Obi Toppin. Now they're getting Obi Toppin. Again, he's a guy that I say he is Tobias Harris, and he's going to give scoring to an offense that needs scoring help. I think with and the fact that they still have the 23rd pick as well, they could potentially move up. I'm happy that they actually didn't blow up this pick and trade it for like Russell Westbrook or something like that. They're sticking to their guns and saying, hey, we're going to try to rebuild. Leon Rose did the right thing here. Obi Toppin's going to give you he's not going to give you size at a forward position, but he is going to give you strength, and he's going to give you spot up shooting, great athleticism, great defense as well. New York, this is a great pick. I mean, you guys were hoping for Tyrese Halbert, and you get his upgrade in Obi Toppin. I'm going to give it an A+ here.
Yeah, I like this pick. That being said, New York, man, how many big men are they going to take? They have so many subpar forwards and centers. I know they do have a bright spot with, what's his name, Mitchell Robinson.
In our yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, they really do have a congestion at that position. So hopefully they make some smart moves and actually unclog that position. Now that they do have their forward of the future with Obi Toppin, I hope they trust him to actually get some minutes and start so that they can move on from guys like Gibson and some of the other bigs that they have crowding that rotation. I like the pick though. I like him as a player. I think he can do some great things. Obviously, New York always questions of if they can develop their players, if they can actually get the most out of their guys, or if he's going to turn into another Kevin Knox who had great potential coming in and then never did anything with his career up until this point. But as far as potential goes, I like it. I like the pick. I can give this a solid B+.
I like their young core now. Sorry, I just took really quickly. Sammy brought up Mitchell Robinson. I like their young core. They all Mitchell Robinson, Obi Toppin, R.J. Barrett, Alonzo Trier. Sam, you mentioned, if he can, actually score more than 5 points a game. Sam, you mentioned Kevin Knox. While he isn't, developing into what we would hope to develop, like still being a good 3-and-D forward in this league, that could be fine. And Sam just left. Hopefully he'll join back soon. His internet cut off, but I think I like the pick here. Sam gave it a B+. Jonathan, what are you giving it?
Well, I'm actually really, really excited to see what Obi Toppin does. I know, Brandon, you gave the Tobias Harris comparison to him, but I kind of see him as like Blake Griffin kind of player in a smaller frame. I mean, this guy is so special athletically. He's probably one of the most exciting dunkers in the draft, which probably one of the best transition finisher as well. Not only in this draft, but last season in the entirety of college basketball. He's a lob threat constantly. Tobias Harris, we really don't see that often. I'm going to go with the poor man's Blake Griffin here comparison. I like it. I like the pick a lot. They just have a lot of power forwards and centers right now. Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, a bunch of those guys, and one of their core pieces moving forward, Mitchell Robinson being a center, clogs kind of that the potential for him to get a lot of minutes this season. But I do like the selection, knowing the Knicks, knowing that they're not going to be the best. He will get a lot of run, and they will try and develop him. I'm going to give this pick an A-. They didn't really screw this one up. I'm really happy. This guy's probably one of the best prospects, if not the best, still available.
I'll give this an A- as well. I mean, look, the one big, huge knock I have is that is there really a lot of time and room to develop, because he is a couple days younger than Jason Tatum. It is, that's one of the main kind of knocks on his resume, but he's really good. He's a really solid player. I mean, you talk about his athleticism, it's off the charts. I will have to say, though, we've just gotten some more news, and it is confirmed Denny Avdija will be taken with the 9th pick to the I was going to say Washington Wizards.
What are your thoughts on that selection, Ben?
I'm going to say, I don't know what they're going to do with Rui Hachimura unless they move him to 4 and they kind of say, okay, we have a shooter there. I don't know if anyone does watch. I'm wearing a keeper right now. I'm very glad that a fellow Jewish person got picked in the top 10. We could finally rejoice. We have someone else besides Amari Stoudemire. But I will say, I like this pick. There are some big holes in this in his play. He has to be a lot more consistent with his shooting, and that's something. But he has shown growth, and I think that's one of the main things that you have to see from a player in the in an overseas league, is that he's shown major growth throughout his time in overseas. I'm gonna give this an A. I just don't know what they're gonna do with unless they try to move him into another position, maybe a shooting guard. But then again, you have Bradley Beal, who has been in trade talks all this time. So at the end of the day, I don't know what they're going to do with their. We talk about congestion in New York. What about congestion in Washington? I'm going to give this an A just for the pick itself. The fit, maybe not so much.
Well, I think Washington's jumping up and down in their war room right now, because a top 4 potentially player in this draft slipped to them at number 9, who they can potentially pair if they do elect to keep both John Wall and Bradley Beal, with both of those two elite potential players. I mean, this team could be dangerous if Denny pans out. If they do elect to keep these 2 stars, I would be really, really excited to watch this team grow and potentially contend next season in the Eastern Conference. Other than Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and Miami, that thing's pretty wide open. What are your thoughts more on the future of Washington with the Denny Avdija pick? I'm going to go ahead and give it an A. This deserves a flat-out A, not A+, no A-. This is the good pick. This is what you need. I know they have not Tobias Harris, apologies, Otto Porter running their small forward. He comes off the bench too. They have Thaddeus Young. I'm thinking of the wrong team, apologies. But I was talking about the Chicago Bulls because if you guys did not know, Otto Porter used to play in Washington for a very, very long time. But the Wizards do need that help at small forward. Ben, what are you ecstatic about?
You know what? To be completely honest, growing up wanting to play basketball, there weren't many Jewish people in the NBA. And I know this isn't a huge thing, but to me it is. You know, even if he doesn't pan out, it's great to see it's great to see a Jewish person go in the top 10. You know, this is great. But again, I like this. I mean, he has so much room to grow with his play, and I think defensively he needs to grow a little bit. But then again, you know, he's playing in the second hardest league in the world. You know, he has a lot of upside, and I think that's what Washington was going with. That they know they're not going to contend maybe in the next future. That's why I'm saying maybe a Bradley Beal leaves, or maybe a John Wall leaves, which is kind of funny that they're looking for Russell Westbrook, because I think that's the only way to match the salaries. Because usually when you want to blow up a team, you get Russell Westbrook. But I think I personally like this pick really. I you know, I was on and off for him for a long time, but I like this pick. You know, I gave it an A. At the end of the day, you know, who knows what's gonna happen? But I will say, this is a good, you know, they went for probably the best available right now, like the best option available right now.
Yeah, he's the youngest player ever to play in the top league in Israel. Denny is something special. He's gonna come into the league. I like the Brandon comparison that he gave. A Jewish Kevin Durant. So if he can develop anywhere near that, Washington gets a steal at number 9, and this is kind of crazy because we all had Denny going earlier in the draft. It's interesting to see him slip.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's great. You know, I think again they were jumping up and down for it for this pick because it was really the best available, and especially with the belief of what he can be. So I think at the end of the day, you know, they got their guy who's really high on their draft, who's really high on their draft board. And for the first time, we don't actually know the pick before it's gone in for Phoenix just right now. You know, there's 2 minutes 30 left. And
I have a theory.
Yeah.
I have a theory that we're going to see another FSU player come off the board here.
Ooh.
At number 10. 2 FSU players in the top 10. Devin Vassell, potentially, shooting guard from Florida State University, can easily play the 3. You pair him with Chris Paul and Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. That team is going to be something scary moving on. Even this year, they could be in contention. Another player I'd like to see. I don't think Tyrese Halbert or RJ Hampton really go here. They don't really need another point guard now. They just got Chris Paul. So look for another player, Aaron Naismith, out there too. Maybe even Precious Achua, as you were big on. What are your thoughts about potentially Precious being drafted here?
I like Precious a lot. You know, he can cover up a lot of the defensive cracks. You know, Devin Vassell can also cover up what Devin Booker can't do defensively. But I like Precious at this pick. I think I picked him. My thing is going off, so I can't really look. But I like this. I would like Devin Vassell pick, maybe even a Precious if he does get down here. But you know, I think if they're gonna go for kind of, all right, we're gonna now kind of work on the depth now and see what goes on here. I could see, you know, there's a lot of players, and again, comes out of there's a lot of uncertainty when it comes to the middle of the lottery all the way down to the late 20s. I mean, it's, you know, we talk about someone that's gonna fall. Precious is someone that has been even linked with the late 20 pick. So this is going to be a very interesting pick for Phoenix. Of course, now they've turned from a team that was kind of fringe in the playoffs to contending in the like 4 or 5 in the playoffs. So it's going to be very exciting to see what happens. No one has tipped this pick yet, and then maybe we even get to see a trade if they're looking for something like that, because there is only 30 seconds left.
We have not seen a trade all night so far, and I was about to get into that. Funny enough that you bring it up. This is seeming more and more to me, if they don't select a player like Devin Vassell or Aaron Naismith, that they trade out of the lottery potentially. This could be really, really interesting. They could get another veteran to pair with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Yes, what do you got, Ben?
3, 2, 1. There is no pick in. It seems like there's going to be a trade here because there's no pick. Oh wait, the pick has gone in. Never mind. They cut to a Toyotathon. Yep, they cut to a Toyotathon commercial as the pick went in. I couldn't see that, and I just got an update. And they're targeting Jalen Smith. Oh wow! I called. Oh wow, I thought he was going 14th. Wow, you know what? I'll say this: it's a bit of a reach, but the kid has potential. The kid, dude's older than me, but the guy has potential. The guy has a lot of potential. He was the guy I wanted Miami to get. If they would fall to 20, I think that they're not looking for this year, but I mean, he could stretch the floor. You can keep kind of your same shape if you want. If you want DeAndre Ayton to sit, I think this is a really good pick. You know what? I don't really. I mean, I've been really high on him for a long time, and I really like this pick.
Yeah. So tell me more about why you're high on Jalen Smith. Then, if you guys are watching with us on our YouTube live stream, we have lost Ben and we have lost Brandon. So the last two standing of the Backseat Banter boys is Ben and myself. But what are your thoughts on Jalen Smith?
He does almost everything really well. He's not someone who has big flaws in his draft side or in his game. Really, he doesn't have. I think he's one of those jack of all trade players that we're projected to go later in the draft just because he doesn't have one standout thing about him. The one thing they have to do is put weight on him. He will be pushed around if they play against Bam Adebayo, if they play against almost every center. He needs weight, but I mean this guy.
He's going to be playing power forward for the Phoenix Suns.
Right, but I mean again, if they want to sub off DeAndre Ayton and they have a lot of options with this Jalen Smith pick. I like this pick a lot. I really, truly do. He needs weight. He needs to. Of course, they just need to develop shot making, but his shot's good as it is. I'm gonna give this an A. I know it's a reach, and I know a lot of people are gonna contradict me. No, Jonathan, I see you shaking your head. I know you're gonna contradict me. I know there's a lot of different players that could have been picked at this position,
Precious.
I know, but if you're looking at it as a guy that can that is so much more. That is so much. More all around game.
Refined.
Yeah, refined game. It's Jalen Smith. Precious has great defense, and I love Precious. And I was saying this before. If Precious could drop, and if someone picks him up in the later rounds, I think that's a steal. But Jalen Smith has such a refined game, and he's so good in so many different areas that I think this is to me this is a great pick. Again, there is some development with him that he needs to grow, and he needs to fill into what he needs to be for a power forward in the NBA. But he already has a good shot. He already is a good defender. I mean, he was a perfect thing for Bam. He was a perfect size for Bam. Perfect two-way second guy for Bam. So I'm gonna give this an A. I mean, as a prospect himself, I'm gonna give this an A.
And DeAndre, and he better be something you see as potentially helping you this year. And as you said, he is probably the best player that can go in, plug him in, and he will produce for a team like Phoenix, especially if they are contending. He's just really, really good around the rim. He gets a lot of rebounds. I like him. I'm not knocking him off, but I am going to give this selection a B, a flat-out B. This does seem a little bit like a reach. I know they could have traded back to get this pick. We haven't seen many teams trade back at all. Actually, no teams have made a move. But with a guy like Precious Achiuwa still on the board, I still take a guy with upside here rather than coming in and giving you something that you need both. But Precious can also produce that and more. So I'm a little skeptical about this selection. Hopefully he pans out for this team.
I get you. I mean, look, every player really has upside in this draft. So Jalen Smith does have a lot of potential to work on. I think it's one of those things where if you can plug him in and then he grows with the team and he has, and once Chris Paul kind of retires, or even if he gets traded next season, because it just seems like that's what's happening. If that happens, then you still have a young core on your team. So I think it's as a prospect himself, I fell hard for him. I think he's a great prospect. I'm going to call it right here, San Antonio. Everyone's been saying it. We just kind of called it for number 10. But number 11, I'm going to say Devin Vassell probably gets off the board here. But I really like the Jalen Smith pick. I can understand the skepticism just because it is a big reach. But then again, you look at Chicago probably couldn't trade down. That's why they reached. Same thing with maybe even Phoenix, that they were like, all right, we don't find anything that we want, so we don't find anything that we could really use, so we can just, all right, we'll just take the guy that we want at number 10. To me, this is where we start to see a lot of players jump up or jump down boards. So this is the exciting part of the draft now.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what is going down. We still don't know what the San Antonio Spurs are doing with their selection. I am currently on Twitter trying to find out who they are going to select, but there are no sources that have released what is going on. But I do like Vassell potentially coming off the board here. The Spurs are kind of a question mark to me, in my opinion, actually. But I don't know what they're gonna do with the rumors with Marcus Aldridge potentially being on the move, rumors with DeMar DeRozan, but we don't know if those are still in effect. But who do you really think they're gonna take a player like Vassell when, Tyrese Halbert is still on the board? Crazy to me. Naismith on the board could be a nice Popovich kind of player that he can breed into the next Kawhi Leonard, but I'm not comparing him to Kawhi Leonard just because that's the team. What do you think?
San Antonio is somewhat like Miami. When they find a guy that they want, they'll be stubborn and take him wherever they can. We've only heard Devin Vassell being that guy. Maybe Precious here, maybe Tyrese Halbert, and we can look at Naismith maybe. Cole Anthony. Oh, well, we got it. Devin Vassell will be the number 11 pick for San Antonio, and I think this is kind of the pick that we all kind of expected. At the end of the day, he's a good shooter. He can defend really well. He's an all-around good player. There are some holes in his game, but besides that, there isn't much to really complain, I think, about Devin Vassell.
Welcome back, Brendan. You were dearly missed.
Sorry about that. So, yeah.
Ben and myself were the last two Banter boys standing, but we are glad to have you back. Devin Vassell, just to fill you in, has just been selected for the San Antonio Spurs at number 11. I personally am really, really excited to see a fellow
I wonder why.
State player. I'm not a player. He's very fun to watch. He was, in my opinion, the best player at Florida State last year, better than Patrick Williams. He was producing down the line. He was great, 3-and-D kind of guy, which in the NBA kind of hard to find nowadays. There's not much you need to say about this guy.
Right.
He will give you what you need, which is 3-and-D, defend wings, and hit shots down the line when you need them. What are your thoughts on this selection? I give it an A. To be honest, I give it a B. I like where they're going. He's a defensive guard, but I think they needed a forward here. I think they needed a small forward in particular. I thought maybe Aaron Naismith or Sadiq Bey might fall here. Just really quickly going into the Jalen Smith pick. I think it just means that that Aaron Baines is out. I don't like the pick. I think to go alongside DeAndre Ayton, it makes sense. But honestly, maybe get a forward here instead. So I'm gonna give that pick a B. But for Devin Vassell, I'm gonna give it an A. Give it a B plus, just because I think they needed a forward here more than anything. Yeah, what's going on? This is some crazy stuff going on. I don't know if it makes much sense, but are you surprised it's the Sacramento Kings?
No.
The Sacramento Kings are taking Tyrese Halbert at number 12, another point guard, pairing with De'Aaron Fox. So
that means that just honestly means that potentially one of them is getting moved on, either De'Aaron Fox or Buddy Hield. Either one's getting moved on. Tyrese Halbert, they needed a 3. They need a guy to replace Harrison Barnes.
The Kings, bro.
I get it, it's the Kings, and that's what infuriates me, because They back in the early 2000s, they were competent enough to know who to take and who not to take. But now it's just like take best available. Tyrese Halbert, I guess, is best available, but they needed a stretch 3 here. They needed a guy like Jalen Smith or Saddiq Bey here. Like that doesn't make any sense. Yeah. That's weird.
I was like, this is such a San Antonio, not a San Antonio, Sacramento pick. Apologies. It just doesn't really add up to me. I mean, as you said it, unless they move on from a player like De'Aaron Fox, or they tend to keep both of them, I don't really know.
I guess to have him come off the bench, but that doesn't even. I don't even know if that works coming off the bench.
I'm gonna call it. De'Aaron Fox has been in trade rumors. I wouldn't be surprised. Genuinely. I know that Buddy Hield has been in trade rumors as well, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
Is discussing trade scenarios for their number 13 selection. They are currently on the clock. I know ESPN hasn't dropped the Tyrese Halbert pick yet, but we have. So we give.
We're more reliable than ESPN. Let's just put this out there. We
had Sacramento taking Aaron Naismith. Like, why Sacramento? See, this is what infuriates me. And
because,
this is why,
no. They have a plan to trade. There's no way that they take
they do. And listen, he's a great player. Tyrese Halbert is a great defensive guard, great scoring guard as well. I don't get it. I don't understand why why they take it. I guess maybe if they have a trade in place, they trade either one of them, because both of them have been in trade talks.
They might be trading.
And that would make that might make more sense. I mean, I don't know with the New Orleans Pelicans, but at least to ship one of them out. Because even then, I don't get it. I don't get it. But Tyrese Halbert, I like the player. I don't like where he's going to, and that's why I'm gonna give it a C.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrese Halbert, I love. I mean, I've been calling it. He's been the best available for quite some time now. We've seen him slip to, 12th pick to Sacramento. I honestly envisioned him slipping further when
We had New York taking him. Obviously, Obi Toppin was best available, and I think that's the smarter pick moving forward. But I don't get it.
Yeah, just quickly going back to my thought. These Kings are definitely not happy with their current situation and how their current players feel and what their franchise is headed towards in the future. I know that they really, really would like to be successful, but they haven't found success in quite some time. Their best player in recent memory is DeMarcus Cousins. Ever since then, I haven't really had any all-star caliber, like, can win your, can really carry your team to the playoffs in the loaded Western Conference. So I don't think Tyrese Halbert is going to do that for the Kings. I have to give this a C+. This just team need doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't like the selection. Ben, what do you have to say about it?
This just shows to me that they have something in the plans. Again, if you just take team as presently constructed, it's a C pick, but I'm giving Sacramento the benefit of the doubt in saying that, they picked a point guard. Of course, maybe it's hopes, but De'Aaron Fox is in trade talks. You have Buddy Hield in trade talks. I'll give this a B-. I, again, like the player a lot. It's just not the team for him.
That being said, you're talking about potential trades that the Sacramento Kings can make after their Tyrese Halbert selection. Maybe he's the point guard of the future. What do you guys think New Orleans is going to do with their 13th overall pick if they do elect to keep it and cannot trade it away?
If they elect to keep it, they get the best shooter in the draft. That's easy. Look, at the end of the day, which I can't really see it.
It's guard or wing.
Oh, it's guard or wing. Well, at the end of the day, I still think, again, with Stan Van Gundy, he just takes the best shooter available. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I think best shooter available at the 3 position, and that's what they should target here, is Saddiq Bey and Naismith.
That guy, sorry.
Both of them are 3-and-D guys. Both of them shoot the ball incredibly well. And both of them will be able to give Zion complimentary complementary wing players on the offense on the wing. For either if either one of them goes here, I would honestly compare that to what he tried to do in Orlando, which was surround Dwight Howard with shooters. I think he's gonna do the same thing here with Zion, is surround them with shooters, and at the 3 position they had Hedo Turkoglu to be that 3-and-D guy. New Orleans could potentially do that here as well. So I would suspect either one of them gets taken here. If not, I don't know. Maybe get a guard. Maybe if you're gonna move on.
If you guys are talking about best shooter, Cole Anthony, although it might be a reach, is potentially a guy that New Orleans might take, especially after moving on from Drew Holiday and downgrading to Eric Bledsoe. I know with Eric Bledsoe, he doesn't provide as much of defense and shooting as Drew Holiday did for you in the past. So they might be lacking in the shooting department in the guard spot. So don't be surprised if Cole Anthony gets selected here. I know it's a bit early, but could potentially happen.
Wait, I also want to say, we did kind of clown one of our hero for his drafts, for his sense of style. But I mean, my man looks like a carpet at a retirement home. Sorry, Tyrese Halbert. I don't know where y'all got that one. I hope you really turn out to be a great player. I don't want you to suck. But I mean,
that's another one that's going on TikTok.
No, I mean, look, what he has inside his jacket is unbelievable. But it's unbelievably great. But I mean, I don't know. He looks like something that is on the furniture of my grandma.
One of those draft day fits that you're gonna go look back on in your future and be like, damn, what was I thinking?
Yeah, but there is some news. New Orleans is targeting Kira Lewis at the 13th pick.
So yeah, New Orleans is gonna keep the pick. They're gonna take Kira Lewis. Like I said, it's either a guard or a wing here. They get a guard. Again, that's interesting. Like, I really thought they would go for a wing. I think that could mean though that they either move that. George Hill has been in trade talks, so this is just a backup guard for newly acquired Eric Bledsoe. It's an interesting pick. I think they probably could have gotten shooters here, but the pick is in. It is going to be Kira Lewis. Yeah, that's that. I mean, I think they might trade for a small forward. My thoughts, listen, Kira Lewis, it gives him speed. He gives him great ball handling and playmaking. What I don't like about the pick here is the fact that we are seeing, pick here is that, you're picking a lottery pick to be a backup or potential for the future. I think you get someone that can help you win now, more of a team need now. I know we said guard was a team need, but, after acquiring Eric Bledsoe and George Hill, I think maybe a team need would have been more of a small forward, if anything. So, I like the pick. He's going to give you great offense and speed. I like him to like De'Aaron Fox, maybe. But, yeah, I like the pick. I'm going to give it a B+.
I'm going to have to agree with Brandon here. You could say A- a B+ is good. It's the Jalen Smith comparison or kind of problem where he needs to add weight to hold up defensively. I like the pick, and I think it gives a sort of yin to Lonzo Ball's yang, and that Lonzo Ball's a great defensive great defensive point guard who's able to distribute it really well. And Kira Lewis is able to score. So I think coming off the bench, he's a good shooter. It's a sense of need there. I like the pick. I think it's a good pick. I'll bump it up. I'll give it an A-.
I'm actually gonna just give it a solid B here. It doesn't really make sense. You do have Lonzo Ball. You do have Eric Bledsoe. He is a good player. Just doesn't really necessarily fit with what the team is building, in my opinion. They could have had a nice. This team really is a big question mark. I mean, they do need a guard or a wing. We said that in our mock draft, and now they do fill that need. But this is just raising a bunch of question marks because
Yeah, you still have Lonzo as well.
But it gives you another option to Lonzo.
I get it, and you're gonna give someone that can run with Zion, but that you can already have someone run with Zion with Lonzo already. I don't know. It's a strange pick.
I do believe it is a strange pick, but now we are headed to the 14th selection, rounding off the lottery. Boston is currently on the clock. They have 3 minutes and 54 seconds remaining to select their pick. But what do you guys think Boston needs? Because we said they need the best available player or they need a big man because we don't know if Tice can be their man for moving down the line.
Well, we said best available, and Aaron Nesmith is looked like to be the guy for him. And you know what? I like this. They're going to look to try and move on from Gordon Hayward. They get the best shooter in the draft. At the end of the day, I personally believe it's a really, really good pick.
Yeah, finally we see Aaron Nesmith come off the board. It is official. Woj just dropped the bomb on all of us, but it's really nice to see Aaron Nesmith come off the board here. One of my favorite players coming into the draft. One of the best small forwards in the draft. Probably one of the top 4 small forwards in the draft. He's really, really good physical profile. 6'6", 213 pounds from Vanderbilt. I mean, this guy's got close to a 7'1" wingspan. So, I mean, Boston's looking bright. They're probably going to move on from Gordon Hayward. Hopefully we see that move go on tonight, maybe for a player that was already selected. But Aaron Nesmith for sure. Really, really talented. Boston just keeps you said it before. The rich keep getting richer, and Boston looks scarier with this Aaron Nesmith pick. Welcome back, Sam, to the Backseat Banter draft coverage.
It took a minute for me to get my Wi-Fi working for a live stream, but we're back, and hopefully it stays strong for the rest of the night because we do have quite a bit of news. I know you guys were covering it while I was working on my technical difficulties. Lots of picks have come in since then. We're talking about the Aaron Nesmith pick going to Boston. I don't think they thought they were going to get so lucky to be able to draft him this late in the draft. There was quite a few picks that really fell. So honestly, I don't know if you guys discussed this earlier or not, but biggest surprise so far, now that we're rounding out the lottery. What do you say?
Tyrese?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if they needed another guard, but that could signal that they're ready to move on from someone like Buddy Hield.
Or Fox. We were covering that. Fox could potentially be on the move moving forward, that they have their new point guard of the future. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, especially I think that he's set to sign an extension, or at least be offered an extension soon. So I think that this might be one of those, well, listen, it didn't work out. We didn't win as many games as we thought we were going to win. You didn't lead us where we thought we were supposed to go. So let's go a different direction with a younger and more with a cheaper piece. That being said, I just got a notification from Woj that Orlando is targeting Cole Anthony at number 15. Another weird one, something interesting, but I like it. I like the pick a lot.
So that actually, Aaron Nesmith's selection rounds out the whole lottery. So we have covered all 14 selections to the point, and now we have a player like Cole Anthony coming off the board. One of my favorite players in the draft. I know that you guys, when we were doing the mock draft, weren't so high on Cole Anthony as I was. But this guy's really, really special. One of the best shooters. I know we just saw Aaron Nesmith come off the board. Cole Anthony is also one of those shooters that can really, really light up the floor. I mean, he's so aggressive when he scores. I mean, one of the best point guards in the draft. I like him a lot. Very good selection for the Orlando Magic. Maybe Markelle Fultz falls out of the rotation a little more, but Cole Anthony is a good on-ball and off-ball shooter, so he can make plays and have plays made for him, so he can really fit around other guards. What are your thoughts on the selection? But before that, let's get a grade on the Aaron Nesmith selection, and then
I like it. Aaron Naismith at this pick here. They needed, I think, a scorer coming off the bench. I think that was an issue once Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum took a seat. This also does indicate that they are going to move on from Gordon Hayward. That either he's going to opt out of his contract or opt out of his player option, or they're going to move him on for another player. I mean, they still have 2 other first-round picks available, the 26th and the 30th pick, so I wouldn't be surprised if they packaged that.
Ben knows all about those picks, right?
I had to do all 3 of these picks, and I already missed on my first one because Jalen Smith got picked early. But
yeah, although I remember we were saying that Nesmith was the guy that we would have wanted to see at 14, but I think he went a little earlier in our mock draft, so it's actually worked out exactly like Brandon. If you guys haven't checked out our mock draft, Brandon was saying that that's a perfect fit for the Celtics, so they actually do get Brandon's guy.
Well, my guy was Sadiq Bey at 13.
Get him a sticker. Get him a sticker.
Gold
Somewhere.
star.
Yeah.
Hey.
Star.
he's going to get a cookie.
Yeah, but now we're moving on from the lottery. Cole Anthony.
One second, Brandon.
Okay.
Ben is going to grab a cookie for you because you made a very good call. We're all proud of you here at the back.
Good job, Brandon.
War room.
I do research.
What were you about to say?
Yeah, all right, we're moving on from the lottery now. The first player taken outside the lottery, not officially yet, but when it Woj and
Shams and Woj say it, it's official.
yep, when they say it, it's pretty much official. Magic have taken Cole Anthony here with their 15th pick. That's an interesting one. I'm not going to lie. I know Markelle Fultz hasn't been the best shooter, but if they can pair him alongside with Jonathan Isaac, Vucevic still being an all-star, hopefully, Markelle Fultz develops maybe more into a defensive guard now, and you can now run him at the 1 and you can now run both of them at the 1 and the 2. That could be something great, to see, and where Cole Anthony is the more offensive guard, while I'm blanking on his name. Markelle Fultz is the more defensive guard here. I like the pick. I'm gonna give it a A.
Okay, I see where you're going for an A here. I mean, I told you guys, I already gave my breakdown and analysis on the Cole Anthony selection. I'm just gonna make it brief and simple here. This is an A selection, no doubt. There's a lot of question marks coming into the draft about Cole Anthony's ability to grow as the player
And stay healthy.
So we'll see if he has what it takes to be an NBA player, and if he has what it takes to remain on the floor. This is an A selection.
Yeah, this is a steal. This is a steal outside the lottery. This is a guy that was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. I mean, he is going to be, if he could stay healthy and develop into the player that we were expecting him to develop. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Adrian Wojnarowski. Minnesota will be acquiring Oklahoma City's recently acquired Ricky Rubio, the 25th and the 28th pick, and will be sending out their number 17 pick.
Yeah, that was a trade that we discussed early on the pod by a guy that looks like he. Yeah, it was a guy that we were talking about being on the move already. Another guy that Oklahoma picked up in Kelly Oubre is also on the move. It was first reported by the Athletics. I really want to say his name is John Krasinski because it looks like it's supposed to be pronounced Krasinski, but I don't want to say it because the John Krasinski that I like and prefer plays Jim on The Office. So I don't want to say it, but I think that's how you pronounce it. But with Minnesota picking up Ricky Rubio, reacquiring Ricky Rubio after shipping him out to Utah, I like the pick. I like the pickup for them. It gives them a nice veteran guard coming off the bench for D'Angelo Russell and now Anthony Edwards. And now Minnesota can now move back in the draft and kind of reassess what they need instead of having to take another guy early. But guys, Oklahoma getting the 17th pick. They just moved up from the 25th and the 28th to the 17th pick. Guys, what do you what are their needs now?
Well, listen, Ricky Rubio's journey has come full circle. He is back to Minnesota with a revamped roster, definitely stronger than it was the first time that he was there. He'll be coming off the bench most likely, unless they want to try something with D'Angelo Russell sliding in at the shooting guard position, which could be quite an interesting rotation if they do decide to do that. But likely, Ricky Rubio will be coming off the bench. I think that would be for the first time in his career, right, that he'd be coming off the bench ever since he earned the starting nod. So Minnesota, I think, did some interesting things already with this draft. We'll see what they do later on as well. But for Oklahoma, listen, they acquired some picks. They made some moves, and now they're cashing out. They were able to move up to number 17.
Right.
And listen, we're at number what?
16. Well,
now.
technically 15, but
yes, technically 15, but we know it's going to be Cole Anthony. There's still a lot of very solid players available that could help a team like Oklahoma City out. We're looking at guys like R.J. Hampton, Precious, Josh Green, Sadiq Bey, all guys that can come in and make a difference. And at least one of them is obviously going to be on the board because there's only one pick that separates
right.
the Oklahoma City Thunder from. Yeah, that is Detroit.
Breaking news: Detroit is targeting center Isaiah Stewart with the 16th overall selection, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. Isaiah Stewart is off the board. What are your guys' thoughts?
I mean, listen, he's gonna be a guy that you're gonna compliment. You're gonna compliment Blake Griffin with. I mean, the development of Christian Wood is still. I mean, he's a restricted free agent, so he might leave in free agency. It's just another guy. For who do they take at 7? Killian Hayes to work with in the pick and roll. I mean, he's 6'9", 6'10", so he's not the 7-foot guy that center that they kind of need here. They already took their guard. Yeah, I mean, I would probably maybe like Josh Green here a bit better, but I'm going to give him a B.
Yeah, we were all pretty big on Josh Green mock draft night, but it's really interesting to see Isaiah Stewart come off the board for the Detroit Pistons. We don't really know what the situation with Blake Griffin is moving forward, if they want to deal him potentially, if they want to move on from him. It's still up in the air. We don't really know what Detroit's path to in their future is at the moment. But right now, there are a lot of players.
He's a 7-foot. He's a 7'4" wingspan. That's gonna be scary.
Yeah, it is going to be scary. I'm really excited to see Isaiah Stewart in Detroit. Hopefully, they can keep Wood on that team and build something nice in Detroit.
I'd just like to point out, Spike Lee is at Cole Anthony's house celebrating.
Yeah, because him and Greg Anthony are like close friends.
Oh, I didn't make that connection. All right, and wait, before we go on with our coverage, I just like to present Brandon with this Oreo cookie for getting the Aaron Naismith pick right. Good job. I'm very proud of you.
Oh God.
Listen, and we got some comments coming in the live chat. So someone said the Suns got Paul to win now though. SMH after swinging some of the picks. I'm not exactly sure what that was specifically.
I'm sure that was during the Suns pick at 10.
I mean,
Jalen Smith pick.
to talk about that, I get he probably wanted to swing that pick for someone else, but Jalen Smith's got some upside to him. He's an all-around good player. He just needs weight. I mean, that's really the only knock that I could really think about him. I think he's a jack-of-all-trades style player. You know, there isn't something that really you could look at his game and go, oh, that's a huge flaw, that's a huge flaw. There's no real big values to his peaks. His peaks aren't just that high anymore, as high as some other players. So I can understand that, but Chris Paul still has 2 years left on his deal. He is I believe 35 now, but when you have a Jalen Smith and you can run a 2 big man lineup to stretch the floor a little bit with DeAndre Ayton, or you can put him in at center. I think all in all, it is a good pick. I know that some people on this podcast would disagree with me, but Jalen Smith at number 10 is a bit of a reach. But I think for the team that he's going for, it is a big pick. It is a good pick.
With Cole Anthony, watch out with him and Vucevic in the pick and roll. That's going to be something because Jalen Smith ranks 6th in pick and roll assists. So like that's going to be either on the either him taking it himself or him on the roll. That's going to be something very interesting to see.
Yeah, let's talk about for a second Ricky Rubio headed back to Minnesota where he began his career infamously being selected for Steph Curry. But guys, let's
I don't think you want to remind Wolves fans of that, and Johnny Flynn as well.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to see Ricky Rubio back. They did give up a decent amount to receive Ricky Rubio, but they also received 2 later draft picks, the 25th
and something
and the
now,
28th.
sorry to interrupt you. We now know who Oklahoma City is going to be using on that number 17 pick. It's going to be, now hopefully I pronounced this right, Alexei Pokusevsky will be going to that number 17 pick and will be swung to Oklahoma City. Originally, those rights were Minnesota's, but now it's going to go to Oklahoma City. So that is the final piece of that trade, I guess, on Oklahoma's side. You can continue with your take. Just wanted to let you know if that changes your opinions in any way about who won this trade.
Oh, well, I'm just excited to see Ricky Rubio back where he started it all. It's just going to be something special. I was a big fan of him when he was in Minnesota, so it's going to be nice to see him put. I mean, they're new threads now, but the vintage kind of Minnesota look, it just screams Ricky Rubio. He was really good for fantasy also, and back in the day, I was a very adamant owner of Ricky Rubio when he was on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ben, sorry, you had something to say?
Oh no, I was going to transition to 17, but go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I was going to do. So you can take it away.
Where are we seeing this? Because I don't see age reinforcement.
It's a Shams. Shams broke it first.
Yeah. So, you know what, Sam? I'm going to let you have it because I don't know how to pronounce his name. You seem pretty good at it, so go ahead.
Yeah,
Well, you selected him, Sam, in our mock draft.
yeah, in the mock draft, I was the one that actually was high on Alexei Pokusevsky. I think it's Pokusevsky, something like that. Pokusevsky. I thought he was going to go to San Antonio. But obviously we saw Devin Vassell just slip to that pick, which I agree. I wasn't here. I had technical difficulties when you guys reacted to that, but I think that's a fantastic pick. Obviously he didn't slip that far in our mock. But he's a good shooter. I think it's an interesting selection, and I don't think there's that many better options at number 17 for them. They could have gone with someone like Sadiq Bey, who has a little bit more upside, or Josh Green.
Or Precious Achua.
Yeah, although I don't think he would fit as well with Oklahoma City. But that being said, he is a great shooter. They are very clearly they're showing what direction they want to go. They're okay with taking projects that are going to take years and years to develop. They're not in any rush to win now. Oklahoma City wants to make some smart, calculated moves for the future. They have a large draft stash. I saw on Twitter someone was joking around that the 2025 draft, the first round is going to be all Oklahoma City picks, and the second round is going to be all New Orleans picks. So definitely making some moves for the future, and I don't hate this pick. It's an odd pick given their team, but he is a project, someone that's going to take a while to develop. But we did say that their team need is power forward or a wing, and this is a power forward. It's a sharp shooting big man. I like it. I'll give it a B.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah. Again, talking about projects, this guy's almost 19 years old. I mean, he's still 18 now. So it's gonna, he's gonna take a lot of development. He's as thin as a twig, which is going to need a change to be a big man in the NBA. He's a good shooter. His turnovers need a little bit of a work. His field goals percentage, it needs a bit of a work. But he's a good shooter. He's good for being a big man. I'm gonna give this just because you can see where the direction of OKC is going. I'll say that this is a B+ pick.
I don't know if I should like this pick or not. I mean, listen, he's a stretch big that has an inconsistent jump shot. Like he can handle the ball well. I think a lot of people are thinking this could be a next Porzingis. I don't know. Like this is such a weird player. He has an inconsistent three, but knows how to handle the ball well. Can pass well. Can finish well. But he prides himself on being a stretch forward, and I don't see that really. So, I mean, listen, for Oklahoma, I don't know what to give it here, just because Oklahoma, they're just blowing up the roster, and I don't even know what they need at this point. Like, just young guys. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
As you're speaking, the Clippers have traded Landry Shamet to the Nets for the number 19 pick.
Yeah, that's big. But yeah, for the pick, I'm just gonna give it a B. I don't know what Oklahoma is going here with this, but I think maybe they're hoping they're gonna get the next Kristaps.
Wait, so Sam, great coverage on Alexei. Everybody, I do agree with the B pick. It seems about right for Oklahoma. We don't really know how they are going to look in the future, making a bunch of trades this offseason. Just to make sure, that trade, Sam, can you repeat it for me one more time?
According to Woj, so it's true, the Brooklyn Nets are trading the number 19 pick to the Los Angeles Clippers. In return, they're getting Landry Shamet.
Wow, that's a big deal, guys. What are your thoughts on this trade?
Yeah, listen, this is, I guess now they don't feel confident getting James Harden. This is a piece to try to get James Harden with. I mean, listen, what Landry Shamet's gonna give is just another guard to be able to shoot the ball and just play on the wing and play in the corner and just great ball movement to kick it out to him. I like the pick here. I like the pickup for them there. Because Brooklyn, I don't know if they were gonna do anything with that 19th pick. I mean, they needed probably just depth, best available, and they got a good veteran, a good young piece on this.
He's a young veteran, so
Yeah.
that's why you got a little confused there.
Yeah.
He's like a young veteran.
But I like the pick. The pick is in for Dallas now, and I do believe that Shams did tweet out that Dallas is going to be selecting Josh Green here at the 18th pick.
Wow, that was a guy who I have been really, really high on, hoping he would slide to our Miami Heat at number 20. Kind of bummed out to see him go.
Ben's happy that he got one right.
I got the pick right.
He's
I'm
gonna
getting
go
myself
play
covered.
for Dallas. He's gonna play really, really well. Gonna fill in that small forward shooting guard role that they desperately needed help with last season. So they get a great defender, great offensive player as well. This is really interesting now, guys, because as Miami is approaching, Precious Achiuwa, Tyrese Maxey, who I selected for Miami Heat, and other players like Sadiq Bey are still on the board. So I am really, really excited to see what our hometown Heat are going to be selecting at number 20, right after the Los Angeles Clippers.
Wow.
As we speak, Luke Kennard is also involved in that deal. It'll be a 3-team trade.
So they replaced a shooter for another shooter. I mean, Luke Kennard gives I think a guy that can create his more shot a little bit better than Landry Shamet. So I like that. I like the swap.
Yeah, and it also now makes a little bit more sense with some of the picks that Detroit has been doing. Luke Kennard, I guess, was no longer fitting in with the team. That's why they got guys like Killian Hayes and now Isaiah Stewart to round out that roster. But I wonder what did they get in return, or was it just a salary dump that they didn't want anymore? I'm not seeing that. Do any of you guys see what the Pistons got in return?
No, I don't know. That's I didn't see.
But anyways, I'm sure they got some kind of either draft compensation or some other.
Oh wait, the Clippers are sending the number 19th pick to the Pistons. The Pistons are to the Pistons. The Clippers are getting Luke Kennard, and the Nets are getting Landry Shamet.
Okay, so
the 19th
Pistons are
selection
getting
belongs to
a
Detroit.
pick.
Yes, the 19th selection is going to Detroit.
That makes a little bit more sense now.
Wow, so Detroit traded back into this draft. They already have they already traded for that 16th pick there, and they also picked up Killian Hayes here. They already got a center and a guard. I would maybe think about getting a forward here, potentially. So
Sadiq Bey still on.
yeah, Sadiq Bey is another guy that
And I think Sadiq Bey actually has crazy potential, and also Precious is still on the board.
Yep.
Which means at least one of those guys will be available for Miami at number 20. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That one of those two guys would be available for a team like Miami, who
Even
loves players
Tyrese Maxey, but we in the mock draft, you guys weren't a big fan of that selection because they do have a lot of depth at the shooting guard position. But maybe if Tyler Hero or Kendrick Nunn get moved,
guys.
Yeah.
They love their Kentucky guys, so definitely a possibility. Especially Bam and Tyler will be pushing for that pick. Saying, hey, let's get one more on our squad. But let's see what happens. I think Detroit just made some moves. I like Landry Shamet to Brooklyn. Can we talk about that for a minute? What does this mean for their prospects of getting James Harden?
Well, I mentioned something. I just either they could package him because it's just another young piece that Houston could get, or it's just a guy that they can have as another scorer and another guy that could come off their bench or even start and just help them offensively as well. So I like the pickup. Just really quickly going back to Josh Green, I like the selection. He's a great 3-and-D guy to pair alongside Luka. He's very good in the catch and shoot, and he's also very good defensively on the perimeter. I like the pickup. It's going to be interesting to see here what Detroit does.
yeah, Detroit already selected Killian Hayes, Isaiah Stewart, and now with the 19th overall selection, they are one more pick. They have one more pick in this first round draft, so they have made a splash so far. We are looking to see if they can make a bigger one by selecting one of the best players available in Precious Achiuwa, or
Yeah.
they elect to go elsewhere.
Yeah, actually, I know it's not going to change anything, but Josh Green is. I picked it because I think it's exactly what Dallas needed, and I'm going to give it an A+. I'm really high on Josh Green here. Again, I would have loved him at Miami, but I think this is a good pick. I think it's a great pick if it's an A+. So yeah, I think it's a great pick.
Yeah, definitely a high potential player to pair alongside Luka Doncic. This is such a strange draft where at number 18 we still have potential star players, even at 19 and 20, where people are talking about this draft being a weaker one, but that's because we don't have the Zion Williamson prospect at number 1. Even all the way down at 20 to 25, we still have some very good, very solid players left on the board, including Josh Green, who just went off the board for Dallas. A great pickup. That team is young. That team is hungry. That team is ready to go. I like what they're building there in Dallas. That pains me to say as a Miami fan because the history that we have with Dallas. And Sadiq Bey is being targeted by Detroit.
All right, so yeah, that makes a perfect sense here for them. And Shams just said that they're drafting Sadiq Bey at 19. I had him taking at 13 for New Orleans. I like the pickup here. I like the pickup here at 19. At 19 for him, I think he's going to be a bit of a sleeper. I think he's going to be a sleeper pick here. I think he's going to give him a great 3-and-D, just like Aaron Naismith here. They're both similar players. What he's going to give to Detroit is more spacing, and I like the direction where they're heading in. They're trying to buy into the future. Luke Kennard wasn't always staying healthy for them, and so hopefully, this is going to be, this pick here is going to be something for them to build off of.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of these teams are making moves. Some, especially like Detroit, they've already selected 3 times. We see Boston has 3 picks.
Right.
We're yet to find out if they keep all of those picks. Minnesota traded back into the draft.
I would suspect another team is going to go to Boston and try to get get one of those 2 picks off of them. I don't think Boston's going to keep those picks. I think Boston's in, again, another team that's in win now mode that they do want whoever's either best available or whatever veteran they can pair alongside their core of Kemba, of Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum. So it's going to be interesting to see if I would suspect those 26 and 30 picks are going to be moved. But
sorry I stepped away for a second. I had to go and get my Miami Heat hat because after that Sadiq Bey selection, we are now Miami Heat is now on the clock.
Well, let's really quickly talk about Sadiq Bey and what he's going to do for what he's going to offer for Detroit. What do you guys make of this pick? All right.
They can play off one another. I had Sadiq Bey be one of the steals of the draft, and obviously at number 19, that would be quite a steal. He's a special player. He can do things on the court that not many young players can do. He looks like a veteran already, and he has potential to do something even more in the future. So I like the pick. I like what Detroit is doing. They're ready to go young. They're ready to probably. I can even imagine them shipping out Blue Griffins.
Wow. Yeah, maybe.
If we get a notification Blue Griffin is moving for another young prospect. This is. I really like what Detroit has been doing so far in this year's draft. I think so far they are my early favorites to be the winner of the NBA draft.
Yeah, they are.
So as requested, Ben would like all of us to shut off our Twitters for a minute.
And you can check, but just don't say it.
And we watch the draft live and see who Miami takes. Watching on ESPN.
I'm hoping.
We are watching out there with you guys from home. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. We really appreciate a like as well. So personally,
And in the meantime, I'm sorry, Jonathan, to cut you off. In the meantime, we got another comment in the chat. Someone said Boston got to trade those picks for a big, and I agree. If there was a big available, maybe like a Miles Turner might be able to be gotten.
I would thought something like that. We spoke about in one of our previous podcasts about potentially going Hayward for Miles Turner. This could be something that Indiana swings for. Also, really quickly, Ronnie Magruder is going to be a part of that deal for in the Piston to go to the Pistons. So he's being shipped from the Clippers to the Pistons also.
and we all know how Rodney Magruder is. He's the scavenger, they nicknamed him when he played in Miami. Really good player. The Clippers are definitely going to miss Shamet and now Magruder. So who really knows what the Clippers are doing right now, giving up a few role players, maybe making some other moves, but we don't really know. I'm going to go and give my grade for Sadiq Bey. I'm going to give it an A-. This is a really good selection. He's one of my favorite players in the draft, but let's not forget, guys. Precious Achiuwa is still on the board.
He is still on the board, and I don't know if he'll be there for a while.
He is the best available player. What do you think if Miami Heat took him?
Well, first of all, I just want to say y'all got your hats. I got my Miami Heat yarmulke on. For good luck from God. But no. If Miami can get Precious Achiuwa, they did work him out. They did see him as maybe someone that can fall. I said earlier that Precious could fall into the late 20s and it could be a real steal for them. He's a defensive monster. He really, truly is. 7 foot 2 inch wingspan. I mean, his offense needs to get better. But at the end of the day, this is a huge pick. And he's a Nigerian. Bam's Nigerian, and Giannis has Nigerian in him. So
his parents are Nigerian.
Yeah, exactly. His parents are Nigerian. He's born in Greece.
Yeah, you heard it here.
Blood.
He's got Nigerian blood in him.
To Precious Achiuwa to Giannis Antetokounmpo has already started. They're selling Miami.
If it wasn't enough for Bam and Giannis to have the same agent, now they got
They got the Nigerian blood. Bro, this is set up perfectly.
You're trying to secure multiple MVP. While we wait for the Miami pick to come in, someone asked, do y'all think a Drummond for
Salary-wise, maybe. I mean,
now because with Boston getting Naismith, and they still have 2 more selections in this draft, we could potentially see Gordon Hayward on the move tonight. I don't know if Drummond would specifically work. I haven't checked if the cap matches up, but it's not a terrible idea. I'm interested to see.
All right.
We'll do a little digging on that and get back to you. What are your thoughts on that?
Really quickly, Miami's pick is in. Just really quickly on my thoughts on them getting a big. I think they need a big. I think they need a guy to stretch the floor.
I think
for Boston,
I think it's Precious too,
but
it's gotta be Precious.
But I think
it's a Miami pick.
it is.
I mean, let's look at Precious Achiuwa.
it's got the Mike Miller stamp of approval. That's all they need.
Okay.
He's got an elite physical profile. This guy is 6'9", 225, and can be plugged in right next to Bam Adebayo. The pick is officially in. We are just waiting.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're picking for some. I wouldn't be surprised, low key, if they're picking for someone else, and if Miami buys a second round pick, an early second round pick.
That actually,
I would think that if Precious was not available, but he is such a Precious, or Precious is such a Miami type of player.
However, there are some mock drafts that have Vernon Carey dropping out of the first round, and Miami likes Vernon Carey.
I like Vernon Carey. They should get Vernon Carey.
They might buy back in, possibly into the second round.
Listen,
but we'll see that as it happens.
I think. Listen.
I already have a smile on my face because.
All right, wait. Shh. The commissioner is speaking. He is speaking. What is the selection? Tell us, Great Baldman.
It's yes.
It's Precious Achiuwa out of Memphis.
Stop the podcast.
Yo, Tyler Hero did say I'm feeling Kentucky. I'm sorry.
You know what that means? They're trading for Anthony Davis.
We're all going to be in agreement. We've been saying Precious for I don't know how long. I've been saying how is he slipped? How is he slipped? This is not going to be a pick that Miami trades, in my opinion. When a guy like Precious falls to you in the 20th overall selection of the draft, he's the second best power forward in this draft. He really, in my opinion, is better than Sadiq Bey. This guy isn't the best free throw shooter. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of Dwight Howard, kind of, but his defense is outstanding. He is not loosened when it comes to finishing around the rim.
Let's not forget that Miami had Bull Bull for 30 seconds.
Hey! Do not bring that up. We do not need to talk about the small forward Bull.
No, but I am going around a little bit. He kind of traded players that we thought were steals recently, but I love the pick. I hope he stays on the Miami Heat. I think he fits the team and the culture so perfectly. I love the pick. Like I said, A+.
You know, I said Miami, like San Antonio, likes to get their guys and will stay stubborn for whoever they have, even if they think it's a reach. This is a pull. This is nowhere near a reach. You must have seen the smile on Eric Spoelstra's face when he saw that Precious was going to Miami. Jonathan and I were talking about it when we were the only two people on this, when it was just, how is Precious falling? How's Precious falling? You even said Precious at 10, which was my pick for Phoenix. Oh man, offensively he needs work, but when you have someone like a Tyler Hero, a Duncan Robinson, do you really need that much more offensively? Especially they could get Gallinari, they could get Millsap, they could get Wesley Matthews, they could get some other guys in trades. We haven't really seen what that's going to be like for Pat Riley, who's the Godfather. But I mean, this could be an A triple plus. I love this pick.
Heat fans everywhere are ecstatic. So this is definitely a Miami Heat culture pick. They're going to develop him into the best offensive player that they can develop him into. I know that's going to be a point of emphasis this short off. They are going to develop him throughout the entire season, throughout his entire career, hopefully, if they do elect to stay with Precious Achiuwa. And I just want to say, we called it, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to Miami.
I mean,
sir.
listen, he's going into with the same the same kind of fit that Bam came into, the same kind of attributes and all that, and we've seen what Bam's turning into. I was hoping Jalen Smith would fall to here, but obviously it didn't. And then I was also hoping Josh Green fell to here, but obviously he didn't. I like the pick here. I like as a guy for this was a guy that needs a guy to help Bam in the rotation, and someone when they are playing up against a guy like Anthony Davis or a big, like, you don't have to always play. You don't always have to play Bam. This is a guy that will give you great rotation minutes. He does need work offensively, but defensively, he's going into the same kind of attributes as Bam. So I like the pick. I'm going to give it a B+ here.
Oh, and before we continue, Philadelphia, according
I will slap you sideways.
I liked.
No.
I liked.
No, I will slap you. I will. You are going back to FIU. I will.
I would have liked a shooter. I would have liked a better shooter.
We have Hero and Robinson.
Okay, but
And then we're gonna get what? We're gonna get Paul Millsap, and we're gonna get.
I would have liked a better shooter here. I would have liked a guy that can stretch the floor more.
What is the one thing that we needed for?
apparently he is a part of the Miami Heat front office now because he's referring to the Miami Heat as we. Ben, congratulations on all of your picks and the big moves you made.
I don't get this. I don't get who you give this a B+.
I would have liked better shooter.
No. I don't want to hear I would have liked a better shooter. What was the one thing that we complained about with Miami against LA? They needed a big man that could stay in it. This guy is 6'9", 7'2".
All right, but guy that can also shoot.
All right, let's move on to the next pick. Sam had some breaking news for.
Yeah. So Shams reported. Actually, I think the biggest gap between Shams and Woj. Shams got it like a whole 3 minutes earlier than Woj did. Philly
The old man's losing his fastball.
With their number 21 pick. They needed a guard that can actually shoot the ball. Again, what does this mean for their prospects of getting a guy like James Harden? I don't know if that has as much of an impact as Brooklyn going with Landry Shamet.
Well, their need is a guard. And this guy can shoot the ball. I don't know moving forward if I think honestly, I think with the Nets trade and with this Philadelphia pick, I would suspect that they're looking at potentially not being able to get James Harden in a trade, that it might be a little bit more difficult for them. So I would suspect that. Yeah, but I like the pick for them. Tyrese Maxey, great shooter, can definitely spread the floor for them, and that was a need for them as well as just bench scoring. And this guy is going to give you bench scoring, and yeah.
Yeah, I actually selected Tyrese Maxey in our NBA mock draft, number 20th overall to Miami, but players like Precious Achiuwa were not there, so I was one pick off with this selection. Tyrese Maxey, it was a player that I had around this range. Definitely one of the best defending shooting guards in the draft. I know he's probably up there in the top 3 shooting guards in the draft, so whenever you can get your hands on a skilled position player like the Philadelphia just did, you are ecstatic. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is probably one of the most versatile guards in this draft. He's 6'3", 198 with a 6'8" wingspan. He's just really, really good at handling pick and roll, and he's one of those scorers who can't really be stopped in the transition.
Yeah, again, what is everyone under the sun has said about Philadelphia? They need more shooting off the bench. They need more shooting in general. With this pick, they get just that. They get also a lot of good defense. I really like this pick. I'm gonna give it an A. They were lucky that someone of that shooting caliber was still on the board. So the 76ers might actually hit with this pick, which is like what, third out of 20.
Yeah, listen.
Ben isn't. 1 second, Sam. Ben isn't really a big fan of the process. If you didn't get that little nod right there.
Yeah, definitely Philadelphia is making some moves. I think that this was a good selection. What a draft that some weird picks early on have caused such a big ripple effect later in the draft.
Yeah.
You have guys like the last 4 picks really are all going to get great scores by us in terms of our grades. Some really big names have fallen. Guys that can make a contribution right now to teams that are looking to compete. I like the Tyrese Maxey pickup. Like we said in our mock draft, we had him going to Miami, so we were obviously pretty high on him. I'll give it a B+. This is a good pickup. It's exactly what the team needed. It's a backup policy in case they don't get any major splashes in the trade market or free agency. They can develop him to be something nice. They can do something special there in Philadelphia.
Yeah, listen, he's going to give them something that they definitely needed coming off the bench. He could even maybe replace Josh Richardson in the starting lineup at times if they wanted to. I mean, both similar players in terms of like 3-and-D type of guys. So definitely would see. What do you guys think, though, here at number 22, with a lot of players still available, some pretty decent players still available, where would you guys see some of the what Denver would pick up here?
Well, Denver has no shortage of depth, but a lot of them are on expiring contracts where we could see someone like Paul Millsap be on the move. We could see them making hard decisions about their backup guards and wings. I think they would probably just end up going best available. I think looking at the board, in my opinion, R.J. Hampton would probably be the best available, but it wouldn't be the cleanest fit alongside Jamal Murray. So it is kind of a tough situation. Honestly, if I'm Denver, I'm trying to trade back as much as possible here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree here. I think realistically, they're gonna have to replace that forward position that Jeremy Grant was going, because I think realistically he's going to be moved on. I would also expect,
Hold on, I have some breaking news.
Yeah, go ahead.
Glenn Rivers is on ESPN right now, and
Yeah.
ESPN had the audacity to put Doc Rivers as his name. If you guys did
Fire everyone at ESPN.
He retired the name Doc because it belonged to the doctor, Julius Erving, when he moved as the new head coach in Philadelphia. I just had a little funny tidbit there, but going back to your point, Brennan.
Yeah, I would maybe, listen, they're going to need to move back in this draft. I mean, I don't know if to move back per se, but I'm looking at who's left on the board. I think maybe R.J. Hampton is someone of interest. Maybe Theo Maldon out of France as well, if they want to go guard here.
Ooh,
The pick is in.
they're going with the big man.
So they're going with Denver selecting Zeke Naji. Yeah, it was a guy that I picked for OKC to pick up. To me, the guy reminds me of Taj Gibson. What do you guys make of the pick?
I mean, this is the part of the draft start splitting hairs about who to pick. We're starting to see great playoff teams like the Nuggets making some selections. I see Milwaukee's coming up in not this pick. This pick belongs to the New York Knicks, but the next pick is Milwaukee. We have Boston selecting a couple times if they don't move on from their pick. Toronto, teams that don't really need a rookie so badly. So we are starting to split hairs. This is obviously their front office made the decision that a backup to Jokic is a good idea. Give him some breathers, some time where he can rest, so he's not running up and down the floor. That is one of the downsides of Nikola Jokic. His stamina is not where you would want it to be.
Right. I mean, listen, he is a guy that can definitely shoot around the mid range, and he can develop. He does have a bit of a 3-point shot. It still needs a bit of development. I would suspect that this is a insurance for
Jeremy Grant.
if Jeremy Grant does leave in free agency, because he will probably command 15 to 16 million a year. But listen, he can move up and down the floor. He can run. He's very quick. I like the pick here. I like the pickup here. I'm gonna give it an A.
I think this is a reach, and I don't
Okay.
think it's even close. There are so many prospects that could potentially have gone before Zeke Naji, but Denver elected to take a 7-foot power forward who is really good on the offensive board. So, do they really need that? No, not really. I still see players on the board. They could use maybe backup point guard RJ Hampton, who's really good, and Nico Mannion too. There's just a lot of options. They thought they needed some power forward, but even then, you have to take Jaden McDaniels over him, or even Tyler Bay. I just don't really see why they reached so far for Najee. If they wanted him, they could have traded back and got an asset or two in return.
I mean,
I'm gonna have to give it a C-, really.
I was kind of right there with you. I was going to be a little bit more lenient and give them a C+. But again, at number 22, it's really hard when those steals, right, those like precious gems, and I am intending the pun when I say precious gems, don't fall into your lap. I don't hate the pick, but it is just barely passing. Denver is really good at developing their players, though. Let's keep that in mind. We've seen a lot of guys that were drafted late go to Denver and succeed. So we'll see what happens there. I think New York's pick is on the clock, and that one's interesting. That one I'm curious.
I would suspect they're going guard here, and I would suspect either Trey Jones or RJ Hampton here.
And that's why I'm so excited for that, because I think they could actually make.
You're sleeping. Hold on. Cassius Winston is still here too.
I didn't see Cassius on the board. Yeah, I forgot about him.
I mean, not a big potential kind of guy, but still one of those guys that can help you win. And if they do feel like they have chances to make the playoffs now with Obi Toppin part of their core, joining RJ Barrett now, I mean, you're not confident, as you said earlier, in Dennis Smith Jr. You can get a guy like Cassius Winston that can help these guys develop right now, rather than another guy to develop with them. He can help their development.
Although I don't see them reaching for that with RJ Hampton still being on the board. If he does slip even further, I think some team is going to be very happy to be able to swoop him up. Potentially, if he does slip, I think that all the way to number 29, the Toronto Raptors would so happily scoop him up, because then they don't have to worry about Fred VanVleet possibly not re-signing. Although I don't think he's going to slip to 29. RJ Hampton is too much of a talented player to slip that deep. But if he does, we're looking at the next few teams here. If New York doesn't take him, Milwaukee just traded for Drew Holiday. I don't know if they're going to go for a backup. Minnesota just traded for Ricky Rubio. They already have D'Angelo Russell. Boston has Kemba Walker. Utah, they have Mike Conley. Again, Minnesota, and then Toronto. They might be the team that would end up getting Hampton if he slips past this pick.
I
So
mean,
if we don't see RJ Hampton coming off the board, I can see him possibly slipping all the way to number 29, which is kind of crazy to talk about.
If RJ Hampton isn't selected by the New York Knicks, some other team is going to either trade up potentially, or honestly, somebody's going to draft a backup point guard if they really need it. I could potentially see Utah doing that. Milwaukee, I'm not opposed to Milwaukee also drafting RJ Hampton. So there's still options for him. I don't think he's going to slip to the second to last pick in the first round, but there's still chances that he could slip, which is kind of insane because RJ Hampton is probably the fourth best point guard in this draft.
Jonathan, your brothers are having some fun in the chat. They said Wade to Miami. So that's always fun to see. They got jokes here. Y'all got jokes. Anyways, let's continue talking about the current pick. Is it weird that neither Shams nor Woj have reported yet?
Nah,
Taking their sweet time.
I think it's because it's commercial break.
And also, I mean, no. Also, it's later in the draft. I mean, it's not that big of unless they're trading, which the clock is at 0 now, unless they
That's
haven't.
what I mean. Like it seems like it's taken quite a little while for any reports to come out of New York. Oh, actually,
Wow.
As I say that, one does come in.
Leandro
Bolmaro is coming in
He
From
okay,
Barcelona.
but okay. So pretty much, he's Argentinian. He's a tall guard. He plays for Barcelona's B team, pretty much.
So what you're saying is he's Messi.
Well, I think the Knicks would like him to turn into Messi, but the guy only averaged 2 points a game for their senior team.
You're not allowed to kick the ball in basketball.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Technically no, but if you do it as an assist, maybe.
I would have liked RJ. I don't know. This is the weird pick.
Yeah, if you're going with a backup point guard, if you're going with a point guard in general, RJ Hampton's right there. I mean, I unless they're banking on their development capabilities with their young roster, they just see something in them that a lot of the scouts haven't. I don't know. I mean, again, it's kind of weird if you're going to go with a back. If we're going to go with a point guard, RJ Hampton's right there.
Well, Bolmaro is 6'7", so he can sneak into that 2-guard spot. But with already RJ Barrett manning that 2-guard, you really don't have an option when it comes to spreading that ball around. When you're gonna trust Dennis Smith Jr. to be your point guard of the future?
Wait, we've got some news. New York is trading number 23, Leandro Bolmaro, to Minnesota for number 25 and 33.
Wow.
So this selection belongs to Minnesota?
Yeah.
So all that we just talked about is kind of dumb now.
Well,
not
no.
I mean, still no. RJ Hampton could have gone to Timberwolves, but it's. I mean, I can understand why they take him now. I guess. I mean, it's still a weird pick for me.
It's a weird pick, but I feel like this is the part where it's hard to even give grades because we don't even know how they're going to be used in the rotation. This is the second pick that New York had, and they just shipped it off to Minnesota. So you said for number 28 and 33?
25 and 33.
Look, they even showing a graphic with him with
so
Messi.
New York will be on the clock in a couple minutes now again.
I think they're hoping that this guy turns out to be Ginobili or someone, follow the path of great Argentinians that have in recent memory.
Hopefully he does not turn into Maradona after his whole cocaine incident. Look, I mean, again, yeah, it's kind of difficult to grade picks now. It doesn't really seem fair to, at least. He's a tall guard. He can turn into that 2-guard. I think it's a project. It's a huge project that they're taking. But if they see something in him, then God bless him.
Yeah, I think honestly this is a guy with a high motor, high skill, can really take any defender off the dribble. I would be concerned here if he doesn't pan out and you leave RJ Hampton on the board. I mean, listen, he can pass the ball well. He's a great defender, but
Minnesota makes the selection. What does this mean in terms of grade? Would you guys give it a better grade? Because who is Minnesota's shooting guard currently? Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
You dropped his backup. Are you happy with this selection if you're Minnesota?
Well, really quickly, yeah, I would. I would be kind of happy, if you would, because this is where you're gonna try to get depth. You already picked up Ricky Rubio, so now you're getting a guy. So you're getting more depth on your squad. I mean, this is another guy you can play for a future. I mean, Jarrett Culver as well can grow into something alongside him. So I mean, I'm gonna give it a B. Really quickly though, Shams just tweeted out that
New Orleans is picking RJ Hampton at 24 and trading him to Denver.
Yeah.
I mean,
Denver makes the 24th selection.
Yeah, Denver, and they're taking RJ Hampton here because that Milwaukee pick got shipped to New Orleans in that Drew Holiday trade. Drew Holiday, they're now shipping that pick to Denver for R.J. Hampton. And Denver's taking R.J. Hampton.
Yeah, and if we're going to kind of just talk about the grades early, not going to lie, I kind of like the Zeke and Jaj pick. Again, they're stacked to the teeth with tall, power forwards and centers. So I think it's a kind of pick. Okay, we're probably going to lose either Paul Millsap or Jeremy Grant, or even both in free agency. So I mean, I know we already graded it. I'd give it a B. But this is good. I really like it. It gives them a lot of extra shooting. It gives them a lot of depth at that position. I think when I was picking for them, I said they just needed depth and replacement for people that are going to leave. But all in all, I think it's a really, really good pick, especially at 24.
You see, now Denver getting R.J. Hampton as their backup point guard. We were a little upset when they passed on him for Zeke Naji, and I feel like they as well were like, wow, did we mess up? So they took advantage, went and made a deal, and took the player that they should have taken, and they're happy that they have both of their players that they were targeting in the draft. I don't know if this team needed more rookies or they needed more veterans, but they are making moves to build for the future around their young core, probably one of the best young cores in the league. So look for Denver to be really, really, really good moving down the line as the NBA progresses through the years.
Yeah, listen, just really quickly, while we're waiting to see with the 25th pick, just Chris Haynes of Yahoo pretty much has said that the fear is that Klay Thompson has suffered a significant Achilles injury. So the MRI is still scheduled for tomorrow, but just as a point out that point out this is going to be a big thing. It could be a big issue later down the road. Shams also just tweeted out that the future pick is going to go to New Orleans. So it's pretty much RJ for a future pick. We're going to wait to see what the pick is going to be. But, yeah.
Selection.
Yeah, but
We were kind of hating on him for a second.
I like the pick. I like the pickup for him. They needed, I think, a guard depth there, so that could be very. Again, this is just another guy that you can, grow. They have great player development, and it's going to be something special for them. I would like to see though at 25, if New York still has it, they need a guard. I would think either Theo Maladin or Nico Mannion for me. Or Trey Jones. One of those two.
Yeah. Trey Jones, Cassius Winston, one of my favorite guards in the draft. I mean, there's still some gems out there, although we are nearing the end of round one and the end of our round one.
Oh wow. Okay, so OKC is selecting Emmanuel Quickly at the 25th pick, and it's going to go to New York.
Okay. So Emmanuel
Quickly. Yeah, out of Kentucky.
What are your thoughts on the selection?
Listen, I think it's just guard depth that they needed. I think they, I like the pickup here. There was some him going into the second round, so not that much of a reach. I would think that they might now move on from either Dennis Smith Jr. or Frank Ntilikina. So, listen. They're going to get a quick guard. I really like him here. I think, he needs to work better on his passing. He only averaged like 2 assists a game. So ball distribution is something that he needs to work on, but he can shoot, and that's what I think New York is going for with this pick.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is 6'4", 188 pounds. He won SEC Player of the Year for Kentucky. I mean, for me, there's a bunch of other guards that I would rather have building on my team for the future. But this guy shot 92% from the free throw line. He's really, really one of those players that has emerged throughout their college season. Last season, he emerged as one of the best players to blossom from that class of players. So he's really a standout point guard. New York is making some decent moves. I'm surprised they took quickly though. When there's players like Desmond Bane, who I really like. There's Trey Jones, Cassius Winston, Nico Mannion, as you said, Theo Maladon. There's just a lot of players. It seems to me to be a reach. I'm gonna give it a B minus.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a B plus. One of the main things that ESPN highlighted was leadership. If there's a team that needs leadership in the NBA, it's the Knicks. If this guy can bring a locker room presence in as a young player coming into the NBA, I think it's a great thing. They're gonna need a lot more offense, and he brings it. And I know there are ranking wise some more players that you could say are better than him, but I know he kind of dipped into the second round for some people, but I'm gonna give this B plus.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go in the middle here. I'm gonna say B, just because I like the pick. He shot 46% from three, and I think that's something that New York needs at that guard position is shooting. They haven't had that, honestly, in a while. So just have another scorer for them. That'd be great. What's interesting here, though, is that Celtics are on the clock. They already taken Aaron Naismith. I think they might move on from I think they might. The fact that they haven't moved on from this pick yet is kind of surprising.
I think it's time for your guy. They're going to need a center unless they can swing something for a center that they can get. Miles Turner is someone we talked about. I think we could look at Vernon Carey Jr. being the pick here.
Yeah.
I mean,
potentially
they need a center unless veteran shooting off the bench, Desmond Bane maybe, but I think that could be a pick that we will see coming up soon.
So really quickly, just to answer your questions, Alexis, pretty much New Orleans is sending RJ Hampton to the Nuggets, and they're just getting a future pick. So just to answer your question there, and Denver is sending a future pick. It's interesting to see what's going to be who's going to be picked up by Boston. I think they need a defensive presence. Maybe a guy to replace Enes Kanter, even though he's on his last year of a 2-year deal. So I would think maybe, and this is a guy I took at the 29th pick, is Daniel Oturu out of Minnesota. I forget where he went to, but he's another defensive big that can stretch the floor a bit better.
He's out of Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah, that's what I thought. I liked him. I compared him to Serge Ibaka, just bigger, same shot blocking ability and same range. I would suspect maybe that or Vernon Carney here.
Yeah, Vernon Carey, very good player, coming out of NSU even, before he went on to play for one of the best colleges in college basketball, Duke. Vernon Carey is a special talent, and I would not be surprised if it won't really necessarily be a reach, in my opinion. There is Udoka Azubuike, who is also in the draft currently, Xavier Tillman from Michigan State as well. So there are a bunch of centers that I wouldn't be surprised if Boston selects these centers. But at the same time, if you want a player with high upside rather than come in right now and dominate, yes, you take Vernon Carey. But if you want more help right now this season when they are looking to contend, don't be surprised if Xavier Tillman is off the board right now.
So, wow. So Boston is actually, with this pick, is taking Peyton Pritchard. With the 26th pick.
Wow, okay.
All right, break that down for me. What's going on?
Well, it's a reach according to some of the picks that we're looking at. He's a point guard out of Oregon. His draft, he's only 20. He's 22, so he's one of the older guys in this pick or in this draft. To be honest, I would have liked to see, if they were going to go with the point guard, a Grant Riller. I am really high on that guy. He's a Fred VanVleet type player. Again, there's not a lot of holes in this draft. He's very in his game. There's a very complete player for Grant Riller. He gives a lot of stuff on offense. He's not very good on defense. His projected NBA 3-point 3-point percentage is good, but I don't know if that's really the best pick you could have made here, especially with the fact that you need a center unless you're looking at someone either in the off season or maybe with that 30th pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna say here I kind of like the pick, just because he's gonna give you offensive scoring alongside Marcus Smart, who he's done well in the playoffs in the bubble offensively, but going back a bit, he's not the most consistent offensive player. So I like the pick as an offensive guy to come off the bench. I wouldn't be surprised though if 26 and 30 is being flipped, and eventually someone is getting someone's going to be picking up one of those guys. But with the 26 pick, I like it here. I'm going to give it a B-. I think they left maybe a couple other guards on the board that fit more what they're going for. So, yeah.
It's definitely a weird move for sure at this pick. I don't know too much even about this player, Peyton Pritchard. He was not even one of the guys that we had going in the first round. We had him be in a second round pick. Can't say it's a good or a bad pick. It's really tough for a team like the Boston Celtics, who were 2 games away from making it to the NBA Finals, although the Miami Heat took them down. Still a proud moment of the season. But definitely an addition to the team, right? It adds to their depth. It helps them with a little bit of a scoring punch off the bench. I think they had the lowest scoring bench out of any playoff team. I think that was, or maybe it was the second lowest scoring or something like that. They were really in need for someone that could come off the bench and just be a spark plug, make some buckets. You don't have to worry about defense. You don't have to worry about playmaking. Just come off the bench for 12 minutes and just make a couple shots, change the pace, guard. It's an all right pick. I don't know too much about him though, so I can't get.
I think they're mad. I think this pick is pretty much because they're mad that they didn't get Tyler Hero last draft. So this is.
And we already know what number 27 is looking like. Utah is targeting Udoka Azubiki. I hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Wait, let's just give it up for Sam for pronouncing like the hardest names in this draft. Good job.
I'm doing my best here. But Udoka Azubiki at number 27, according to Woj.
What are your thoughts on the selection?
Another pick that we really didn't even have going first round. Let's take a look at who's still available and compare that to who's being selected. Does it look like, unless I missed something, Jaden McDaniels is still available?
Theo Maladin's still available. I mean, Utah could use a point guard because Mike Conley hasn't been the kind of offensive and hasn't been really that kind of player that a lot of people in Utah would have thought of. I mean, it's a good pick. I mean, I guess maybe if they're looking as a backup for depth, he needs to work offensively. Defensive, he's really good, and that's. I mean, but it's still kind of weird still there because if you're going to go with depth, wouldn't you want to kind of get what's different from your main center?
Yeah, and to be honest, I would have liked a guard here instead of another center because this is an old school center. This is just another Rudy Gobert, in my opinion.
Okay, so Utah is not actually keeping this pick.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
No,
right.
They're trading Tony Bradley. Oh, actually, are they?
They are keeping the pick. They're trading Tony Bradley and the 38th to Detroit.
The next pick, my bad.
Wow, okay.
Said,
So I get it. So I guess center depth is now an issue because Tony Bradley was their backup center to Rudy Gobert. Yeah, but he's an old school big.
Rid of their backup center.
What is the trade?
It's Tony Bradley and the 38th pick to the Detroit Pistons for future draft considerations.
So Utah's still keeping this. So like they're still getting it. I still would honestly. I still would have, even if they are going for a center. Again, Daniel Oturu is a guy that has similar assets to him. The Pistons are also going to send cash to the Jazz also.
Yeah, and maybe a copy machine.
Yeah. It's just another just to spread the floor because that's something that Rudy Gobert is, the flaw in Rudy Gobert is that he's still an old school big. this guy Udoka is another old school big. I mean, he's much stronger. He looks much stronger and looks more physically imposing than Rudy Gobert. I mean, he's a great rim protector and an interior presence, and just like
Did you say more physically imposing than Rudy Gobert?
well,
You got to back.
well, just because like the strength,
It's a TikTok.
strength. Strength wise, you know what I mean?
No.
Like he looks more.
Yeah, Brandon, I don't know how you're really gonna get out of this one, because you're talking about a former defensive player of the year in Rudy Gobert, who is probably, if not the best defender in the NBA, and you're talking about a rookie who hasn't even played a minute.
Well, I'm just saying, I think he could be better physically. He looks more physically imposing, but okay.
I don't know, man. I think
he
he's up
is
there with Drew
7 feet
Bledsoe.
Tall, 270 pounds. So let's give Brandon a little bit of slack here. He is a big dude, and he is a rookie. He has some even more room to grow and put on more muscle already than he currently has. But until he becomes a defensive player of the year, I don't know if you can say more physically imposing than Rudy Gobert.
I understand what you're saying about the build of the body type, reminding you of more of a old school centers used to be. Now that they move on from their backup center and draft him as the center, I have to give this a grade an A minus. It's a solid draft selection.
I still would have liked the guard here, not gonna lie. I mean, I know they're moving on from Tony Bradley, but I would have liked a guard here. I mean, another guard to come off the bench. I mean, what's his name? Who's their point guard now? Mike Conley. You know, wasn't consistent during the season or in the bubble, so that was that was a big issue for them. I think I would have liked a guard here instead, just to have more guard depth.
This move actually allows them to potentially go for their unrestricted free agent Jordan Clarkson again. So they're really tied into Jordan Clarkson, and moving on from Tony Bradley's $3.5 million contract, they are allowed to maybe make a move for Jordan Clarkson when he does hit the free agent market. So that is also another reason why they are downgrading from Tony Bradley to a rookie, but then trying to
keeping
their backup.
Excellent take there.
I'm still gonna give it a B though. I'm still gonna give it a B. I still would have maybe liked a guard or a wing, but I can see why they did it. I'm gonna give it a B though, because I feel like they could have gone more.
Oklahoma City is drafting Jaden McDaniels at number 28.
Whoa. I have Woj here saying the Timberwolves.
Sham says Oklahoma City via Lakers.
It's a fight. It's a fight of the two big ones.
Oh wait, didn't
And this was from the trade.
Isn't the Danny Green trade?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just reading out what Shams tweeted, and it says Oklahoma City via Lakers.
No, but then Oklahoma City traded it for
Did they trade? Okay, so they might have.
They traded it for the 25th and the 28th overall selection. Then the 25th selection was shipped to New York in that deal. So this is Minnesota's selection.
Okay, so it's like Oklahoma's. They can't trade it twice, so it's like the draft rights to Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's an interesting pick, especially with what they've already got going on there. And so this would be going eventually to Minnesota.
Yeah, Shams just tweeted that it's going to go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
The old guy still got his fastball.
It was drafted by the Oklahoma City Thunder, but it will be acquired by Minnesota.
Yeah, listen, they already picked up Leandro Balmo. They picked up obviously Anthony Edwards with the number 1 pick. I like Jaden McDaniels here. I mean, he's going to be a guy that you can play alongside Karl Anthony Towns, and I think he's going to give another option offensively for them.
Do you see them running together at the same time?
Potentially. Because Karl Anthony Towns isn't the best defender, so this could be a better low post defender for him to cover him.
This could allow the weak side to basically not exist when you're playing against Minnesota. You have Anthony Edwards, who is a pretty good defensive guard in the NBA. You have now Jaden McDaniels and Karl Anthony Towns defending your rim. Minnesota is looking scarier and scarier after every move they make, especially after acquiring a good backup point guard in former Minnesota Timberwolves, Ricky Rubio. So I am really, really excited to see what this team is moving forward. I'm really excited to see what this team can do this season. Now, at the beginning of this live feed from Backseat Banter, Sam was saying that now the 10th seed can potentially play into the playoffs. Now, Minnesota might not be that low, potentially. They could be higher up if everything pans out in their direction, but they have a good chance at making it this season with all the moves that they have made.
Yeah, I think Minnesota realized something that a lot of small market teams refuse to realize, is that they're not going to attract the top free agents, right? A lot of players, when given the option to go to a team like Minnesota or something like LA, if the money's the same, they're going to go to LA every time, right? So they have to acquire their players some other way. And what Minnesota did tonight is they really, I think Woj actually summarizes it the best. The Timberwolves have reshaped their perimeter talent tonight by drafting Anthony Edwards, Leandro Bomer, Jaden McDaniels in the first round, and also trading for Ricky Rubio. So they really got better. That's an entire off season's worth of moves in one night. They bolstered their roster. They got better internally, right? They didn't have to go out and sign a big name player. They were able to trade for someone like Ricky Rubio who could come in and make a difference right away. They were able to draft some young talent that can all grow with the team, right? Karl Anthony Towns is still a very young player. D'Angelo Russell is still a very young player. Both were top. Cat was number 1 and D'Lo was number 2. Yeah, so they got some very high picks right now on that roster together. If they can build them up, if they can grow together, this team could be legitimately challenging for a playoff spot this year.
Yeah. You know what? I hate to be that guy, but
He's gonna be that guy.
He's got the Juwan Howard seal of approval. As he
He's his cousin.
Yeah, he's just cousin. How's that seal of approval?
Being in the same family as Juwan Howard.
Oh my God.
Seal of approval. He's not gonna say, "Oh, he sucks," really. But no,
He could.
I mean, yeah, they've reshaped their team in one draft. As Sam said,
The way that Ben would put it is he has some Juwan Howard in him.
What? I don't get it.
He said Precious had some Nigerian in him.
No, I said Giannis did, and I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
Well, what can he say?
You got some Juwan Howard.
But listen, I like the Jaden McDaniels pick. I think it gives him versatility not only on the wing but also an interior help as well defensively. I like the pick. I'm gonna give it a B+. Moving on to Toronto's pick, they listen. Their main key here, I think, is to try to re-sign Ibaka and Fred and Fleet. But they also, if they can't get Ibaka, they already lost Marc Gasol to going back to Spain to play at Barcelona. They're going to need to reshape that roster a little bit because it is a bit old. They do have good talent at some places, but they also still need some more veterans and maybe reshape their roster just a little bit. So with the 29th pick, I had him here taking Daniel Oturo just because this is a replacement for Serge Ibaka, because that's what I kind of compare them as. So yeah, that's what
You know what I would like to see here?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not, but what I'd like to see here, it's Vernon Carey Jr. He's still on the board.
Yeah.
Like Ben said, I think earlier, there's a chance that he will drop out of the first round, although I think we all had him going in the first round. He does fit in for pretty much all the same reasons you just made for Oturo. I think all of that applies to Vernon Carey Jr. And I think Vernon Carey at least has a little bit more of an upside. I think there's more of a possibility that he does develop into one of those surprise players that gets drafted late, and then everyone starts wondering, how did 28 teams pass up on this guy? Especially with a team like Toronto, which is very good at developing their players. They're very good at making something out of nothing, right? He can have a similar career trajectory as Pascal Siakam has had so far. They could grow together and make for a pretty scary front court duo, if that's the direction they choose to go. we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they still have less than a minute left. No one has really tweeted about it yet. So
wait. We all forgetting one main prospect.
Who?
Sheck West. He has entered the NBA draft.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Are you kidding or no?
No, I'm not kidding.
Sheck West. Wait.
Sheck West has entered the NBA draft.
Shaq West.
What?
Hey, he can play with Mo Bamba.
We saw Mo Bamba go in the top 5. Maybe we could see Sheck West sneak into the first round.
Yeah, for real. He's in the draft. Oh my god.
This is up there with Kanye being a presidential candidate.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Kanye got quite a few votes.
He got 60,000 votes.
All right, so can some team pick up Sheck West? Let's.
Well, okay, so
Alright, what's his plus minuses?
really does need that Detroit Pistons walk on.
Yo, for real, that would be sick.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Maybe
Oh,
Quavo
all right.
on,
So Toronto is taking
Ooh,
Malachi Flynn here.
Oh, wow.
Another
I
big.
like that pick though.
I like that pick. It gives him a lot of defensive depth at point guard. That was what Miami was looking at him. They were looking at his defensive depth. I like that pick.
Yeah, I think they're ready for Fred VanVleet to sign a big contract somewhere else that they can't match.
Yeah.
I think they're really just getting ready for that move here. They have to have some kind of inside information. We know that the moratorium has not officially been lifted yet for free agency, although for trades they're allowed to make deals left and right, as we've seen some blockbusters already on the move.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a guy that can also replace Kyle Lowry in the future. I mean, Kia's getting up there. So another.
He's got like 5 years left in him, right, Ben?
Listen, I mean,
he doesn't have the same. He doesn't have the same.
Listen, he does have two. He did average 2 steals a game, almost 2 steals a game. I mean, he shot well from the 3 and around the field as well, and shot 85% from the free throw line. I mean, I like the pickup here. I mean, I would have liked a backup center or a center here, but maybe they feel confident in the second round, potentially getting a center there, or
They'd have to trade up because they're at 59.
yeah. So maybe they're hoping that they can still keep Serge Ibaka, but we're gonna have to wait and see.
What's the grade for the pick?
I'm gonna, because I'm gonna give it a B plus because I like the pick for the future. I mean, even though I think Fred VanVleet is also the future, even though I think Fred VanVleet should resign and he is the future, but if they can't, get Fred VanVleet to resign.
Oh, Boston is moving the 30th pick.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know yet, but Woj tweeted out Boston is moving the 30th pick.
So let's see what. But I like it. I like it for the future. I would have liked the center here, but yeah.
I'll agree with Brandon again. I said Grant Riller is a Fred VanVleet kind of player. I'm surprised he's dropping into the second round. But I mean, all in all, it's a good pick. There's not. I don't know if there's not much time to develop. He is an older player in this draft, but I mean, he's a good playmaker. He's a really good defender, and I think it's again depth for for Kyle Lowry, who might not have 5 years. Sam.
Yeah, do you guys find it surprising? Let's just move on from the Flynn pick to Boston. That they're moving on from the 30th pick when there are still quite a few big men left on the board that they could have snatched up.
Yeah, maybe because
I don't think it's surprising. You know why? Because they have a guy, Robert Williams, who is supposed to be like one of these guys that come in from the draft and try and help you and bring in that talent instantly, but they haven't really seen the development that they wanted out of him. They stuck with Daniel Tice moving into the playoffs, and I don't think they really want him in their plans for the future.
Number 30 is going to Memphis.
Okay, Memphis. Nice.
Ooh,
Memphis
wow.
is making an appearance in the first round. Cool. What do you think Memphis is going to do here, guys?
Forward. I would really think maybe Tyler Bay here.
Yeah, defensively, he's one of the best defensive prospects in this. Forward would make the most sense.
I would say forward or center to pair alongside Jaren Jackson Jr., but I would say either one of those two.
Yeah, they got quite a few options really at this pick. So if they traded into the first round, it's got to be someone that they're confident would not have slipped to where they are drafting. Do they have a second round pick this year?
I'll
check
too
right-
sure,
I'll check right
but
now.
I'm pretty sure they probably do.
Yeah, someone
Desmond
let me know.
Bain. Desmond Bain's going to Memphis with the last pick in the
I was
first round.
actually literally
like
about to
this
say Desmond Bain. When I should have said it because I would have looked a lot cooler right now.
Great.
but
We would have given
yeah.
you a gold star, and someone would have driven to your house.
I was gonna say.
I was gonna
Desmond
drive
Bain is
over with the
gonna-
cookies, Jonathan.
Yeah, I was gonna say Desmond Bain is gonna round out the first round. I wish I said it. I said it in my head.
But it's a nice guard to go alongside John Moran. I'm not gonna lie.
Gives him a lot more
One of my
shooting.
favorite players in the draft. His stock raised a lot towards the end of the combine period that we've had this season.
Oh, wait a minute.
Desmond Bain is really
No.
nice this season.
Oh, never mind.
That was a trade from last year.
I didn't
If you,
see-
if
I-
you can read,
No. I just looked at the Suns received. Okay.
Okay, but you can
yeah,
also-
but,
you-
yeah,
but
but,
if you can
yeah, but
read.
also, but also, I can't read. So
Another thing going on TikTok.
I can't. No, you know what? No, I refuse. It's a 3-hour shoot. You're gonna expect us to be perfect for 3 hours?
Yes.
No. Screw you. Oh, he's gonna be.
Desmond Bain, what do you think of this selection?
I like it. I'm gonna give it an A here. I like the pickup here. It gives them shooting for next to John Moran. Yeah. I mean, I would have liked a winger center, but yeah, the good pickup here.
I really like this pick. I was looking around to see who's available, and he does seem like the guy that would fit the best with the roster that they currently got. You don't want to clog up the front court too much. There are some big men available who do drop into the second round now. Vernon Carey, I think Daniel Otaru. But Desmond Bain fits perfectly alongside John Morant as a running mate, right, to take some of the load off of his hands with the playmaking, but really he can just be there. He can provide you some offense, some defense.
Right.
I really like this pick, actually. I'm thrilled with this pick. I think our 30th pick will actually get an A+ if we all end up voting in that direction. But
Yeah.
I think the 30th pick is perfect. They traded up into it at the last second from Boston,
Yeah.
and it worked.
So really quickly before we sign off, because we're not going to be doing the second round, we're not going to be covering the second round. For the second round's obviously going to be coming up after this. What would you guys say is the best available going into the second round?
Oh, that's a really interesting question because you look at guys like Theo Maladon, Nico Mannion, Tyler Bay still up there, Cassius Winston, and Trey Jones. Those guys really could be coming off the board very, very quickly when the round 2 starts. I know Dallas, I believe, is picking first in the second round, so hopefully they can get some players that really complement Josh Green and Luka Doncic. Maybe a backup point guard could be nice, but they do have Seth Curry, so they could go big here.
Yeah. Yeah, they could. I would say either one of those guys. I would probably say Theo Maladon, probably the best available right now. Probably not what the direction Dallas is going to go to, because I think they already have enough guard depth. Probably they're going to look for a more of a big man to pair alongside.
Tillman, maybe.
Huh?
Xavier Tillman, maybe.
Maybe to go alongside Xavier, to go alongside Kristaps. If he's healthy, or maybe to have a guy to be next to Kristaps Porzingis, but or to be a backup to Kristaps Porzingis. I like the pick of Desmond Bain, but rounding out the first round, the second round though, I would say Theo Maladon or Trey Jones here.
Yep, I definitely agree. With that being said, let's go into our last little tidbit before we end the live stream. Who is the best winner out of tonight? For me, no brainer, the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Making moves, taking Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and Killian Hayes. They're building for a future without some of their stars that they've had in the past, and now are looking brighter than they have been in recent times. No brainer for me. Detroit Pistons. Somebody else go with something different.
Yeah,
I'm
go
ahead.
rolling with Detroit until the last few minutes of the NBA draft, and I gotta go with Minnesota. They did select number 1, so it's a little easier for them to get the highest grade. They took Anthony Edwards. They didn't do anything stupid with that first overall pick. We heard they were possibly looking to shop it, but it's weird to know what kind of value they were getting pick. With that being said, we've talked about it all night. Minnesota got Anthony Edwards. They were able to trade into getting the Honorable Morrow. They got McDaniels. Not Rudy Bear. They got Ricky Rubio. So they made some big moves tonight, and I think they stole the winner spot from Detroit at the last second there with that Jaden McDaniels pick, because he fell all the way to 28. He fell all the way to 28.
My winner of this draft is going to be two people, two things.
Let me guess. Isaac Okoro's mom.
Nah, actually, I saw he got a car. I was gonna say the Knicks and De'Aaron Fox. The Knicks were able to pick up Obi Toppin, which they weren't even supposed to even get at 8, but they were able to anyways. And yes, Tyrese Halbert would have been nice there, but they were able to pick up Emmanuel quickly with the 25th pick, which I really like for them there. I know they left a couple other guards on the board, but I really like Emmanuel quickly. He's a great guard. He's gonna be a great 3D guy for them as well. And then for De'Aaron Fox to potentially move his way out of Sacramento. For me, that would be great, but yeah, those two.
Yeah, I mean, you guys left me with I mean, without any obvious picks. I will say the world, because now we're gonna finally see LeVar Ball versus Michael Jordan 1-on-1. But I mean, if we're gonna look at the teams that picked, and this isn't a homer pick, maybe, or I'm thinking. Miami picking up a guy as in the quality of Precious Achiuwa. No, but in the quality of Precious Achiuwa at the 20th pick, sticking and saying, okay, we have a guy that we want. I think it's too much to say that they are not one of the winners of this draft. Maybe I would say Boston is another one. You know, they got some shooting, they got a good point guard, but at the end of the day, I think Boston, Miami are probably the winners I will have to stick with if there's literally no one else.
Yeah, well, that's going to round out the live coverage of the first round of the NBA draft from Backseat Banter. Thank you so much, Brandon, Ben, Sam, for all joining me. It's been a pleasure, really, being able to break down every pick, every trade made tonight with you guys was something special, and I love talking about the draft. So had a really good time with all of you guys. Thank you for, again, being a part of the Banter crew. With that being said, if you guys are watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We really do appreciate it. It helps with our analytics also if you do like the video. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us if you did enjoy our content this evening. We hope to see you guys in the future with many more live streams. This has been our first live stream ever, so stay tuned for more coming in the future. Thank you guys